Kanpai! No, we never.
Kanpai. Oh, okay. All right. I wasn't aware that we were saying it like all together.
Wow.
We all say it all together. One day we'll do it right.
This feels like Joey watches the show all the time.
Oh dear.
Obviously.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 21 of Kanpai Cast. I am MDRLOz. This is Xenogelion.
Yo.
This is Nasuth.
Hey, how's it going?
And for our special guest this week, we have Joey Zero.
Hi. How's it going?
Right, now, for this special week, which I have been waiting for quite a while, I have decided to once again don a Gundam-esque skin. Joey picked it up in 2 seconds. If you know what it is, write it in the comments now, and we'll see if you get it right. But, oh god, I can't see anything. Okay, sorry. Let's move on to Housekeeping. Well, I need to see myself, my beautiful face, otherwise I don't know what I'm doing. It's just so wonderful. I mean, look at this skin. You don't get chins like this elsewhere, you see. Look at that. So good. Right. Anyway, housekeeping I'll just move on to for this week. First of all, if you're a supporter watching this on Early Access, the timestamps may not be ready yet, but for everyone watching at the normal time, you can navigate to any section you want using the timestamps or chapter feature. Yeah, if you actually click on that little thing below Joey, I think you have to have annotations on, don't you? So you know what something?
No. So if you have the screen, there you'll have the seeker bar at the bottom where Joey and Nasuth are, and then underneath basically where Joey is, it will say like Kanpai or Housekeeping or News of the week this week or whatever. You just click on that, and then on the
it'll expand out a whole section on the right hand
this
side.
This side, there will be a whole section of all the different chapters you can just select on. As long as you're not full screen. If you're full screen, you're fucked. You just don't see any of it.
Right, there we go. Yeah, YouTube, once again, not explaining a feature that it has. I imagine within, 2 years, they'll just decide to remove it because they didn't tell anyone it existed.
Yeah. They probably already have.
They've already planned, yeah. So anyway, moving on to anime news for this week. So I have on my docket here, it says, Japan's Content Overseas Distribution Association with companies from 12 other countries to form international anti-piracy organization focusing on manga and anime, which is scheduled to launch in April.
Yeah.
What does this mean, Zeno?
Well, there'll be a link in the description, but effectively they're trying to crack down on anti-piracy for the distribution of manga and anime. So, because
no more downloading cars.
More yes, no more downloading cars for you, Loz. You can't download your cars anymore.
Oh.
You have to pay for them. You have to subscribe to them like a real boy.
Man, we should try and get a Crunchyroll subscription. That's what we'll so Crunchyroll sponsorship. Yep, we'll all Crunchyroll if they sponsor it.
That's it.
There we go. Right, well, looking forward to see how that happens in the future. But to be honest, been like this for ages. I don't expect much to change. Anyway, let's move on to what we're talking about this week, because this week we are going to be talking about all things Gundam.
I would have never guessed that.
This will be the first of many episodes because we will not even scrape the barrel at all. We don't get the lid off on in this amount of time on Gundam. But I think especially did you select this as a topic to do, Joey?
Yeah, of course.
And you came on. Yes.
So I think Zeno came to me and said that he wanted to do, or he mentioned that. He knows I do Gunpla, and he was like, hey, when we do a Gundam episode, do you want to be on it? I was like, yes, absolutely. Yeah. I don't think it's not necessarily that I selected it, but I think it's that
it was imposed upon you.
He knew that it was.
No. I mean that's what you're saying. You're saying I imposed it upon you because of your Friday Night Gunpla stuff. What is up with the background?
Why is this so slow?
Can we pause it real quick?
You don't realize how awesome Gundam is. It just needs to come in stages, because if it comes all in one go, you'll just get, overwhelmed.
All right.
Right. I think we are back after technical wizardry was completed and the spells finished. And for some reason, that's not a Gundam. That's not a Gundam.
That's not a Gundam.
That's definitely not a Gundam.
That's my favorite movie.
That's your favorite movie that you explained of ridiculousness. Doesn't contain
Gundams. Why is my background full of Gundams on my local? There we go. Back to Gundam.
There we go. Now we have some form of Gundamage.
We're haunted, clearly.
Oh no, it's because he hits start resets the settings. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Resets to Naz's favorite movie. Right, anyway, let's get on with the Gundam episode.
What the fuck? What? Okay.
Zeno, you chose those ones for Iron-Blooded Orphans.
No,
Why
okay,
did you
right.
pick that?
Okay, I'm not kidding, right? Finding these screenshots was really fucking hard, right? The older the show got, the more impossible it became. Basically, every screenshot of 00 is just Exia. Because I couldn't find anything else that wasn't
completely lying, because I found some a minute ago for ones from 80s Gundam shows, and they're in here to be used. So you didn't try hard enough. Anyway,
No, I
speaking
fucking tried
about
really hard.
Gundams, let's just have a quick going through. Oh god, this is ridiculous. Of what? How did you guys get into Gundam? What your Gundam experience, and what was your? If I won't say list all the shows you've seen, but what was like your first show, or your favorite show? Let's start with Zeno, because he needs to make amends for that ridiculous picture.
So Gundam Wing was actually my first introduction to Gundam. However, my favorite Gundam series is 00, excluding that horrendous movie. That doesn't exist.
There isn't a movie. No, we don't.
There is no movie.
It's very sad they cut that in development.
Gundam 00 never got to its movie. They were just like, we tried really hard, guys, but we thought, you know what? Keep the integrity. We're not going to release this steaming pile of shit. So there was no movie.
Makes sense.
Fair enough. So Nasuth, have you seen any Gundam at all?
I have seen Gundam Wing and Endless Waltz, and I think everyone saw Gundam Wing because it was on Toonami. I think I think they also did 0080, but I didn't watch much of that. I got kind of bored of it.
They did, but I wasn't watching Toonami when it aired, so.
Right, that moves on to Joey.
They also did, for what it's worth, Toonami did also briefly run like Mobile Suit Gundam, but they stopped it because of 9/11. They thought it was like some of the.
Oh my god, that's so dumb.
Yeah. So my first series was also Gundam Wing. It like came on after school, and I loved it. Favorite series? I don't know. Probably just the stuff that I've seen more recently. So like, I don't know. I haven't completed Mobile Suit Gundam: The Origin yet, but I can't wait to finish it. Like it's literally on my monitor right here, just like waiting for me. And I don't know, I'm really excited about it. I was also pleasantly surprised by Build Divers. I was not expecting to enjoy that series as much as I did.
Wait, you've seen Build Divers or Build Fighters?
Build Divers.
And what, you've watched all of it, including Re-Rise?
I haven't watched Re-Rise yet.
Wait, you think Build Divers is good? I
enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it was like intellectually stimulating, but it was an enjoyable watch experience.
Oh, no, that's fine. No, if you enjoy that, you'll just enjoy Re-Rise even more. I wouldn't. Yeah, I know. I can appreciate that. I wouldn't say it's great or anything, and I just think it had a great premise, but it just kind of lost. It didn't do much with the whole we're in a game premise, and just focused on weird stuff with the characters. But the good news is, Re-Rise comes back to that and does a really good job of making it. Even makes Build Dives better. But I won't even say why.
That's cool.
I'm not even going to say.
I think the thing that I really enjoyed about it was that. So again, like doing the whole Gunpla thing, watching Build Divers kind of caused me to look at it a little bit differently. Just because they were talking about like, I guess like how like whenever you like if you load missiles into like a little Gunpla missile launcher, like the care with which you load those has a direct impact on like the accuracy of those like. So I don't know. It caused me to view my hobby a little bit differently, and I really appreciated that. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, well, mine was Gundam Wing as well, and then I didn't really have anything until a friend introduced me into the main Gundam timeline with 0083, but I assume no one has seen that, but we'll get back to that later. But still, so anyone who has been living in Iraq and doesn't watch anime and doesn't know at all what Gundam is, Gundam as a franchise is a series in which normally the Earth and nearby space around Earth is always at war, and their war is normally carried out using giant robotic suits that look like what I'm wearing right now. And that's the basic premise of it. Normally, basic premise is that there's colonies around Earth, and they're fighting against Earth. That is the basic setup for just about every single series.
They want their
and
freedom.
hijinks ensues. Yeah, it normally goes on a very... what's the word? Oh, I've forgotten the word. What's the word? What's... God, not wanting to fight. What's the one?
Oh.
What's the word?
Pacifist?
Pacifist. Normally, the message of Gundam, even though you think it is primarily a show to originally sell toys to kids and model kits to kids. Some of the best model kits in the world, I would say, these days. Some of them are just amazing.
Yeah.
Don't even need glue, and the articulation is amazing. But beyond that, they actually do try and have messages, and normally, war is bad is actually one of the key messages in all of it. Yeah, which is pretty impressive for a show. But again, I've actually, seeing as we've all watched Gundam Wing, I just want to point out how forward-thinking and teaching this show was. It would have taught you about drone warfare.
Yeah.
It would have taught you about asteroid impacts. It would tell you about military governments and taking over each other. Teach you about pacifism. There's some good things in there. I love the drone warfare is one of the great one for me because that's what they did in Gundam Wing, and that was years ahead of its time, which is great. Anyway, right, okay, so let's start there on Gundam Wing. Let's talk a bit about Gundam Wing, because it really was the first show that broached out of Japan and conquered the world. So let's have our background to the goodness that is Gundam Wing.
Gundam Wing.
I hit the button.
You've hit the button.
I hit the button.
You hit the button.
He hit the button.
He hit the button. So while that's attempting to apparently load before we have to pause to fix why it's showing us the horrible Gundam recognition, there we go. Oh no, it's a good image to start with. So Gundam Wing. Yeah, so before anyone starts, well, you're saying Gundam lots, and there's all these different names. What are they? So just to let anyone know, there is the Gundam, what's called the UC timeline. That's the main original Gundam timeline, and where the majority of the shows are set. However, because they can't just keep adding to that one timeline, though they keep trying, they come up with other timelines. I think the Gundam Wing one is called After Colony Timeline, if I'm not mistaken. And it's its own little separate show. You've got Gundam Wing, and then you've got a movie afterwards. So we've all seen this show, so that's a really good one to start. So, who would like to say a bit about what they saw in the show, what they liked, what they didn't like? We've all seen this one.
I'll be honest, it's been a long time since I've seen it, so I don't remember a lot of the details. But yeah. I do remember... I've only also seen the dub, so I don't know how good that compares to the subtitled version, the original. But I do remember really enjoying it. I thought it had some good messages. You could tell that the kids that were fighting didn't really like that. They were almost indoctrinated into it, but they also didn't want to really. They were doing it for a good reason, and they didn't really want to do it. It felt like they had to do it.
I kind of
remember
disagree
Hero
on
especially
that.
being kind of like indoctrinated into it.
Yeah, he was super into it. It's just like, I love me some war. Oh, I'm gonna kill some bad guys. Oh, war. But it was kind of weird because the only character that truly felt, or maybe, that he was a human being was actually Duo Maxwell, the pilot of Death Scythe. Please, at any point in time, feel free to interrupt me and say you're full of shit. You can't remember your hand, the back of your hand, or anything like that. But I feel that Duo Maxwell was like a really well-rounded character, whereas Troy Barton, the pilot of the Heavy Arms, was there along for the ride the majority of the time. No, he was though. Like he was spaced out the entire time.
He was the most I am a trained soldier. He didn't even remember his own name. He was literally child soldier that grown up and was told to kill things in front of him and just kept doing it.
Well, he wasn't even a child soldier, was he? He was a acrobat at a circus tent when
No.
That was
an expression of his mission's needs. It wasn't that like he went to go like be an acrobat.
No, because the real Troy Barton was killed, so this Troy Barton took his place.
Took his name.
Mm-hmm.
No, because he wasn't the Gundam. Like he was gonna. The other guy was supposed to be the Gundam pilot.
Yeah, but he didn't take the acrobat stuff from him.
No, that was the only thing he did have. right?
It's just a cover, just because he was really good and he could just hide in the circus and circuses moved. It was an excellent cover. It was just
Also, there was some really weird stuff with like Zex Marquise and the other mobile suit that they found that wasn't a Gundam.
The tall geese.
Yes, the tall geese. Yeah,
the tall geese.
Tall
Goose.
Well, no, that was the prototype for the Gundams, actually.
Yeah.
Because the five people who made the Gundams made that first, that then the Earth government used to make the Leos off of, and they were like, oh, okay, but we can make it better, and then they made Gundam, so that's why it's close to a Gundam. So, yeah, so the other thing, as people are pointing out there, is one of the main things about Gundam is, like, it's not just giant robots punching each other. In fact, the Gundam series span off from the Super Robot show, which is just magical super robots basically punching each other.
Honestly, this one feels more like a Trooper show.
Yes, yeah, it's more
because
grounded.
There's five of them, and they all have specific roles to fill. And that's a common theme in Trooper shows.
But it does. The important thing I was going to say that's interesting is that it goes into the why do people fight and what are you fighting for a lot. It does. I would say towards the end it gets a bit lost in its own story about that. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So did anyone dislike this show for any reason, or did it leave any lasting impression on you? Go for it. So
I fucking hated the bloody. Oh, we're gonna fight for pacifism. We're gonna kill people for pacifism, right? We need massive weapons of war to make sure pacifism is maintained. We need bigger guns to keep the pacifism. Come on.
Look, sometimes for peace you need a little war.
I feel like each one of the series is kind of brushed up against that same idea, or at least each one of the ones that I've seen that aren't built.
No, but it was the fact that it was just the simple fact that Relena Peacecraft, like she was so nonplussed the entire time
on screen.
Yeah, she was just like, I couldn't give a pacifism is good, and yet she has all these generals like around her that are getting bigger and badder mobile suits. I'm like, she's not doing it with the baseline mobile suit either. She's got like upgraded suits that just used to murder the shit out of things.
Well, that's the thing is like the whole premise, of course, is like, I'm not gonna put down my stick until the other guy puts down his stick. Let me get a bigger stick, right? And then like that was Relena's whole like that was her arc, that was her challenge, is the fact that like she was trying to navigate this like highly kind of this military government. As the leader of it, she was trying to reform it, but she couldn't just go to all these generals and say, no, put down the stick, like, because then she would have had to do that on the other side, and she tried to, and it didn't really work out all that well. And then that's kind of that was her arc for the second half of the show, really, was that she was trying to navigate this.
It feels like you actually had this really long table. On one side you had the people that were like, pro pro colonies. On the other side you had pro Earth. They're fighting at each other, and you had Relena just running up and down the table trying to say, no, peace good, peace good, peace good. Like it felt, honestly, she felt so useless the entire time. And her message was
what I remember.
Like, wasn't there a point towards the start of the series where she's basically like, she recognized that Hiro Yui is the Gundam pilot, so the pilot of Gundam Wing, and she's trying to kill herself so that she gets his attention? It's like they're still at the school.
They're still at watching Twilight.
No, I swear they're still at the school. And like this. Or I think this is before she discovers she's actually Relena Peacecraft. She's Relena something else. And she's like, I hate you, Hiro Yui. And like, what the fuck is wrong with you, woman? There's two fucking mobile suits right here fighting each other. Like, do you not consider safe distance at all?
No.
Oh no, I do remember that when there was like a fight going right in front of her, and they're like just duking it out, and she just heads at it, and it's like, what? Why? Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna shut up.
She does that a couple of times too, because doesn't she do that during the duel between Zax and Hiro? Like she just like
Yes.
flies her
Which
plane
one?
right between them.
Right
The duel in
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
She flies her plane like right between them, like they're pointing their guns at each other, and she just like flies right in like. And it's the opposite because she's like, hero, kill that man, and like that's the big reveal that that's her brother. But
Wait. Was this the fight in like the Arctic?
yeah,
Yeah.
But no what? Okay.
I think that's the one when he has to pilot
Heavy arms.
heavy arms because he refuses to use the wing that Zex rebuilt.
Yeah.
That's it. And she like flies
Because
the
he blew
plane
it up.
between them, but she's like she's like hanging out of the plane like while it's flying in between them.
Yeah, I suppose you can find a picture of that. It's hilarious. Yeah.
I also want to say, like, you know, considering this was one of the last Gundam series that was actually hand drawn, hand animated, and everything. So it's still with cells. It's not digital, right? It looks so beautiful,
Oh,
right?
It really does.
There's so many parts. Like because I was finding screenshots for Gundam SEED, and I'm sorry, it looks like ass.
I love that one of the images you've got is these Ares. These are some of the worst mobile suits ever in any show.
Yeah.
Seriously, the Leo survives, like, it's still fighting things at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be the flying variant. And the freaking Leo gets a space variant and is still able to deal damage at the end of the show. But this useless piece of rubbish.
They replaced these with the robot ones that
These
They
are
replaced
supposed
him. They replaced him a couple of times. They replaced him with the
Yeah.
Taurus, and
That's the one.
they replaced him with the Taurus, and then the what's that? Where are my
Virgo.
cards? Where are my cards? Yeah, Virgo.
I thought Virgo was the one of the two anti-Gundam ones, wasn't it?
No, that's the Mercurius and the V8.
Thank you. I always forget those. I always get it wrong.
God damn, how am I getting these right? I can't remember that show. Like, what's the main character in that show we just watched? I don't know. Protagonist. Like, what's this hunk of metal that hits things? Oh, you see, that's the Mercurius and the V8. And what's that? Let me explain to you about the Mercurius and the V8.
Which show did we watch? Never mind. Okay, should we move on to
Before
the
we
next?
move on, actually, let's just finish.
Okay.
I would say, because I want to say about you're saying the Relina Priestcraft thing, and yes, she does sort of go around the show in a weird way, trying to literally yell pacifism in people's faces, and also promoting people use the giant robots to stop the other people with the giant robots at the same time. But the movie, which will spin into this as well, I don't know if we have a separate thing for Endless Waltz. Let's finish on Endless Waltz. Let's get that one out of the way, because it is a really fun movie as well, and I think it does a better job of kind of finishing off her pacifism storyline, because what we have in the movie is that through so the movie setting, by the way, is after we've thought we fought all the wars, one group went, aha, what we'll do is we'll hide about 300 mobile suits, and these things are so overpowered, if we just hide and sit around for about 10 years, everyone gets rid of theirs, then we can just step in and be like, you ain't got any mobile suits, we got 300, how are you going to win? But what happens is that now that peace has been achieved, literally the general populace are just like, no, get rid of your suits. So literally people are just rising up, and just all of humanity doesn't want them to have these evil machines of destruction, and so they don't even, at the end of the Endless Waltz, they don't even need to use their Gundams to win, because I think you've got that bit with Wu Fei standing there, and there's just like a horde of people going against the antagonists of the thing with their 300 suits, and it's like, just no, we don't want you, bring peace. So that does her pacifism thing does resolve in a nice way, that like her attitude filters down to the basic people. But apart from that, it's just a cool movie to have them hit people with.
Must I kill that little girl and her dog?
One thing I never really understood with the movie, though, was why Wu Fei. Was it Wu Fei that changed sides?
Yeah, he joins
yeah.
the enemies. Yeah.
It's because he was having trouble coping with and how do I put this? He felt useless without any combat. So he was his whole identity was based around. I mean, as far as he was concerned, his whole identity was based around the fact that like, I am warrior, I kill things, and then like in a time of peace, he felt like he didn't have a purpose. So
yeah,
it's
like a soldier that comes back from war and doesn't know how to integrate back into society.
Yep.
So he sought out more combat, and he didn't care where it was.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, he's one of those people who. Oh, go Jerry.
And his reasoning for that was that it was a form of self exploration, I guess, that he was trying to figure himself out, and he made no bones about that. But the only way that he could do that was by killing shit. Like,
No, it's not.
people
It's not just killing stuff. He doesn't go around just killing civilians or things. It's through the act of fighting of another person. He has to be almost dueling another person to justify and explore himself. Yeah, which is good. And that's another common thing that comes out. Is like, I think Nasuth just said, like, what does a soldier do once the war is over, and how do they reintegrate? So it's another good theme that the show, Gundam does explore. It's not just selling giant toys to everyone. Though buy Gunpla. Can I just say, everyone at home, just go to Amazon, just type in Gunpla, and you'll find some lovely model kits. And I think Joe will give you some good advice to start ones.
Don't buy it from Amazon. Don't buy it from Amazon.
Where should we buy Gunpla from then?
Like Gundam Pros? USA Gundam Store. I think there are like a couple of others. But Amazon, everything's overpriced on Amazon.
Ah, there we go. Well, everyone go out and buy some Gunpla. Yeah, that's the meaning of the show. Go buy. Well, in fact, later we'll get to the go buy Gunpla show. Right, but so yeah, just to finish off Waltz, did anyone have any points? Did they like it? What do they feel about it?
I don't remember it well enough.
I loved the pretty robots.
It is very pretty. That's what I was going to say as well. It's
even more beautiful than the show.
Part.
I preferred the Death Scythe Hell custom in than the upgraded Death Scythe in the original series.
It's a couple things. First off, I've heard that the rework of these mobile suits was just visual. It wasn't like canon. That they got like a rework before the movie.
Yes.
And then also most of the suits, going by what they show in the movie here, most of the Gundams got like nerfed. Like they
really?
took away Sandrock's only distance weapons, which were I think the Vulcans and the shoulders, if I remember right.
Newsy.
Yeah, and they took away heavy arms like army knife.
How is he going to hold it? They gave him more gun.
Yeah, see, the problem is they're like there's the arm that was a gun, and then the arm that can have the knife in, but they just put more guns on it, so there was no space for the knife. So that's hardly a downgrade. He lost the knife, but gained about 20 billion rockets and 3 guns.
Are you gonna?
You brought a gun to a knife fight.
Are you gonna hit somebody with one of the guns, and then the gun's not gonna work? It's gonna get jammed because it's
made
like
of Gundam. He can hit anyone with it.
Why is hitting even considered? Just don't let go of the trigger. Keep shooting. Right? Eventually, some of the bullets are gonna hit.
Oh my god!
They have infinite bullets. Everyone knows that.
No, actually, that's one of the things. He actually can run out of ammo. That was why he had the knife, and it was like he just has one knife.
That's also why he had the self-destruct button. But I think I don't know.
Anyway, I don't think he ever used that one. Yeah, but no, it was a good. Did Tro never blew up heavy arms? Did he?
He that's what triggered his memory loss in Gundam Wing.
Yeah.
When you remember he had the like amnesia portion of his thing.
Oh yes, his arc. Yeah, fair enough.
I can't remember. Was there one? I think there was only one Gundam that they didn't self-destruct.
It was.
Was it
Death Scythe? It was Death Scythe because the doctor unhooked it because he like I don't know why, but like I remember Duo was like he hit the button and then nothing happened and he was like, damn it.
Right.
No, but so I just want to say that the way the show works obviously is like they want to make new Gundams. They made the upgraded ones, and actually, if you watch in the start of the movie, there is actually flashbacks from the show, and they're just acting as if these upgraded ones are the ones from the show, which is kind of weird because it's almost like an alternative universe, slightly from the main show. All the events happened, but they had these because it doesn't make sense otherwise. Because at the start of this film, they're packing the Gundams up in a spaceship and sending them into the sun to blow them up. Why would they upgrade them to these new versions and give Wing Zero wings? And be like, "There's some pretty wings you built there." Yep. Now let's chuck it into the sun. It's like, it doesn't make sense. So yeah. But anyway, let's move on to a different show. Let's do Drew's favorite, 00.
Yay!
Woo!
So am I talking first or what?
Yeah, go for it. Introduce it. So what's different about 00, and what's tell us why you like it.
So 00. God, I'm gonna have to try and remember this because it's a long time since I've seen it. The big thing about 00 is that there's 3 major powers in the world, and they are thriving through armed conflict. They're thriving through war. They are still mass producing mobile suits. There are loads of people, like the common citizens, that are getting shit kicked out of them due to all the war that's currently going on. So we have our rebel organization, Celestial Being, which we've got some on screen right now. They are basically right. Well, now we actually have the superior firepower. They are, viewed as terrorists, and they are going around and they are crippling key military facilities and strongholds and all sorts of institutions, whatever, to basically say, no, put down your guns. There is no reason to fight anymore. We should be directing our attention to space exploration, not just constantly trying to oppress each other.
Yeah, so their goal is that the strategy in Gundam Wing, I want to say, was just to make 5 invincible robots and just blow up the one world government that was there and destroy all their military, because it was really one enemy they were fighting. Yeah. And then later a second enemy appeared in from the colonies, which was a different faction. Yeah. But this one, we have Earth and Earth factions. There's different regions of the Earth. They're all fighting each other, and their strategy was, well, if we put in a new threat that's like the equivalent of nuclear weapons, that anytime you have a conflict, these unstoppable things will appear and stop your conflict. So if there's like a border skirmish and all of a sudden a Gundam comes down and it's like, right, well, you can't have a skirmish now because the Gundam will just take out both sides. So no one will win. And so the strategy hopefully is that if we make it to the point that nobody can win any fight, then everyone will give up fighting.
Yeah. And it was really interesting how they had like so many different strategies involved. That the captain of the Celestial Being ship, she had like a crazy number of scenarios and stratagem to work out how to best tackle things. That's her there, acting all uncomfortable because for some strange reason their uniforms expose the midriff of the women. For some
covered by Nasuth, very
covered, tastefully covered by Nasuth.
Yes,
and but it's a really, really good series. And I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff. I wasn't a huge fan of some of the stuff that they did in the middle of the second season. I've honestly blocked it out. But the end of the series I absolutely adored. I think one of the big things that I liked about this series was the fact that they had, the Gundams brought in this new power, this new resource, this new shiny technology, and everyone had to have it. Everyone was trying desperately to take the power of the Gundams for themselves and then become the dominant superpower on the planet instead
just
of
like nuclear
being
weapons.
Equal. Yes, yeah. So that I felt was a really interesting take in things, that all of a sudden the different superpowers of the world kind of came together to try and get a hold of a Gundam. And
we also what's your policy about like spoilers and stuff, I guess?
We have a button.
We haven't got one. Okay, well, I'm just gonna.
We have a button. We have a button.
Yeah,
you push the spoilers button. There you go. Spoilers. See.
Oh shit! You already got it
off.
And even timestamps it and everything.
Can I say spoilers now?
Yeah.
Hooray! Okay, so kind of piggybacking off of what Drew just said, that also adds a lot of tension. Like as somebody that's just watching it from like the outside, that adds a lot of tension, and it adds a lot of it makes you invested, so that like once those governments do get their hands on the fancy new MacGuffin, you're like, oh shit, like there's some shit gonna go down right now. And
the game has changed.
I appreciate that a whole lot. Like I found myself getting really invested in it, and then so I thought that was really cool. I didn't know if that was spoiler worthy or not, but yeah.
No. I agree with. No, I think that is, because it's a big moment when I think there's some all the different factions like on a lift and they're going down, and I think you just see this like collection of what looks like eggs, and it's just these they're actually fake GN drives that are being handed over to them. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like
I also so keep the spoiler cycle on, but like again, I also love the rogue faction of Celestial Being. I'm not entirely sure where they ever came from, but effectively you end up getting this. You got the four. I feel there's 4 Gundams, isn't there? There's 4 Gundam pilots.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah,
because there's
the
4
main
compartments
core.
on the ship. Do you remember they fit in a compartment?
Yeah. But then you get these extra 3 that come out of nowhere, and it's like, who the fuck are these? And they actually have Gundams, but they have different GN drives, the special nuclear MacGuffin, and I felt it was really, really interesting to how they were exploiting the name of celestial being for like tyrannical reasons, as opposed to no, this is not what we stand for. I'm still interested. Like, do you remember where they came from?
I do, and I can kind of carry that forward into one of the things I really, really loved about it. If we can probably remove the spoiler tag, I'll be as gentle. I'll abide by the rules. I'll be as gentle as I can.
You sure?
Yeah, unless you guys want to leave it on.
Yeah, leave it on. Leave it on, and let's go ham.
Okay. All right. So, one of the things that I liked the most about the show is how well it was written thematically, and by that I mean the fact that like the whole show, it seemed like it was about identity, about how people choose to identify, about how conflict can kind of bring your own sense of identity under scrutiny, and that rogue group was the byproduct of these new innovators. Kind of gaining sentience, choosing to go against the plans of their creator, and basically them just saying, "Hey, I am not my father. I am not the person that made me. I'm going to choose to do my own shit, and the shit that I want to do is like I want to take over the world." So I think that in and of itself I think that's an example of really good writing. I think that's the theme has kind of carried through the plot the entire way, and I love that. I think it's I love the fact that I love any writing where it's like thematically just crystal clear like that, start to finish. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. No, definitely. So yeah, as you show, the one of the key things that this show does in the overall, compared to most Gundam shows, which kind of just end with peace, I guess, in Earth, and that this show wanted to try and give an going beyond the solar system kind of point, which most Gundam shows don't really even try to think or discuss. And so they try and do what the other show, what the main Gundam timeline has been taking years to do, which is like what happens when we get into space and how we progress and evolve, and does our thinking change? And they do that with these innovators. And I love, as you were saying there, that we explore that. Well, what happens when some of these people who become this new version of people or humanity, but still just want to, as you say, take over the world. They're not got from good principles they want to carry forward. They're like, no, I want to take over things with power. And so it does explore that. It's not just, oh yeah, the good guys are super good and they're going to do all the goodness.
So
yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess and like thinking back on it, I could be totally wrong about this, but the innovators were like. They were AI basically, right? I'm pretty sure it was like AI that was. No, were they like?
No.
Were they basically like new?
Vega. No, Vega was the AI.
Yeah,
Vega was the.
But Vega was what spawned the innovators, did it not? Or was I because like there's that whole scene where that guy dies in the end, but he doesn't actually die. He just kind of like merges.
Yeah, they copy him into the AI.
Yeah, because he's an AI. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, because some of the other themes I was going to say that this explores is like child soldiers, who the main character, Setsuna FCA, he was literally a child soldier in, I love how they never really describe where, it's like generic war-torn country, maybe somewhere near Africa or something, or in Asia somewhere, and it's like, so he becomes a innovator, but not because the AI makes him or anything, but I think the AI was there to help innovators, because the whole goal is that the guy who sets this all up sees that we will become innovators and sees that we will go beyond the solar system to meet other alien races, and how do we set that up to happen? So that everything he made, from the GN drives to making Celestial Being to Vega to the whole plan, was to try and help humanity all evolve to become innovators. That was his plan. Yeah.
I see. Well,
and then they shot him
so.
in his pod. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I was going to say also the other thing I'd say about technology and how you can learn from Gundam. So that we had in Gundam Wing, we had the drone warfare. Oh, you can turn it off now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it explores some things to do with the future of humanity with technology. Gundam Wing did the drone warfare and asked, is drone warfare something we should do or not? Which I think, as a kid, I was like, oh yeah, these people say like, well, what should we have a war when the war is decided by who can build these biggest robots that they'll fight and oppress other people? but there's nobody actually doing it. It's just down to a computer program. And what this show did is it was actually, as Drew said at the start there, is it was talking about the energy crisis. And I wish they explored a bit more, but you see that there's a lot of stuff to do with, in Africa, the solar energy farms, because we need to use those and the importance of them. And it also has space elevators, which are elevators from ground to earth, because that's another thing to do with energy and having a ring around the earth that can absorb energy from the sun and things like that. And then obviously the goal is these GN drives, which is a new safe form of energy, which if once given, hopefully once humanity's raised up to the point they're safe, we can give everyone this technology and no one will use it to crush each other, and then we will be able to just go into the stars and meet aliens, though that movie was never made, sadly.
Yeah, sadly. Never had that movie. Never.
Actually, it's on the Gundam.info website if anyone wants, on YouTube if anyone wants to watch it.
YouTube doesn't exist either.
Legitimately, I didn't know this was a thing. I'm gonna have to look this up after the.
So bad. It's so bad.
Look, I am here for it. Okay, I just finished the UC trilogy. I'm here. Anything is a step up as far as I'm concerned from that.
Right. So let's finish off this one Gundam before moving on. Now, I was going to ask this because Nad's been quite quiet, so you can actually answer this one for us. For each show, and we'll do Gundam Wing first. Would you recommend this show to? And I'm going to ask for two people. So someone who's never got into Gundam, would you say this is a good entry point to Gundam? And then someone who maybe has seen some Gundam shows, but not all of them, would you recommend this show? So, Nasuth, can you do that for Gundam Wing?
Yeah, I think Wing is good because it isn't really connected into the main timeline per se. It's just kind of doing its own thing, so I think it'd be a good one for a newbie to get into. I mean, it worked for me.
And would you? But you see, the thing is, I want to point for Gundam Wing is that obviously we all watched it when we were kids, and we were like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, that's true.
Robot!
That's true.
Would you recommend Wing in this day and age?
I don't know. It's been so long since I've watched it. I wouldn't really have a good opinion on that.
Oh, fair enough. Anyone else?
So I rewatched it about a month ago, maybe a little more than a month ago, and it has not aged super well.
Yeah,
I wouldn't recommend it for somebody that hasn't seen any Gundam as an entry point. I would recommend it for somebody that has seen a couple of Gundam series and they kind of have a little bit of an idea of what they're getting into. But the things about it that made me excited about it when I was a kid are significantly less exciting now because there are so many other series out there that are so much more bingeable. It was great when you were watching one episode per week as a kid. It was amazing. But nowadays it's like just not it's not my I wouldn't recommend it for somebody that's just like brand new to Gundam.
There we go. Right, so that's fair enough. That's a good summary of it between you two. So Xeno, can you do that for 00?
I would definitely recommend this to someone that has seen Gundam before, right? No two doubts in my mind, right? But I don't know if I could recommend this to someone that's never seen Gundam before, right? Because there is such a heavy political element involved in nearly every Gundam series that I kind of feel you have to ease in newer watchers into Gundam. And anything that has the political, it might sound crazy, but I think this is too much too soon. So I don't think I would recommend either Wing or 00 to new Gundam people.
Really?
Yeah.
I can understand on Wing, but I'm shocked on 00. 00 is maybe. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, I'd rather start them on something like G or Build Fighters. No, seriously, I would.
Wow.
Because, like, get familiar with Gundams, right? Now have the cool wartime political stuff.
Okay, fair. Joe, do you want anything to that, or should we move on?
I wouldn't start somebody off on G Gundam.
No.
It's just so...
00. Would you recommend 00 as a starting point? But we'll get to G. We'll get to G. Don't worry.
Would I recommend 00 as a starting point? I think it could be. I think ultimately I would. You know how you guys have the 3-episode rule. I would give it 3 episodes, 3 series rule. Right. I would say okay, watch 3 episodes of Gundam 00. If you don't like it, that may not be your thing. Watch this other series instead, maybe.
Oh, okay. So what would I? Yeah, so you'd have to pick 3 series. So I suppose OG would be different enough to see if you could see what you want. Oh, maybe Iron-Blooded Orphans. No, hate it.
No!
Hate it. Hate it. Anyway, right. So that's fair enough for that. So let's move on to another one then. So what should we do next? Shall we do? Do you know? I'm gonna. Have you seen Seed, Joey?
No, I've started watching it. I haven't finished it. Or rather,
Right.
I
Okay.
haven't gotten very far
Let's
into
do
it.
Seed, and I'll blitz through that one because I just so we can move on to something that people might have seen more. True, I just want to check Nasuth. Have you seen any other ones? Or is
Nope.
Nasuth's not going to have so much? Right. Okay.
That's fine because I'm still kind of under the weather, so I'll just kind of listen and add stuff when I can.
Right. Okay. Cool. Well, if you want to ask the questions at the end of each section, asking about.
I know. I already know. I already know the best one for people to watch if they haven't watched Gundam. It's Gunbuster.
Joe, have you seen Gunbuster?
Mm-mm.
Oh my god!
Gunbuster's amazing. Right, let's move on. So let's do can I have Seed up just because I can actually explain Seed really quickly, and then we can move on to one of the more serious ones. Because Seed actually, it's really interesting. We got Wing over here. And everyone in the rest of the world, pretty much I think the entire rest of the world apart outside Japan, actually really liked Wing. It didn't do that well in Japan, and instead they like Seed. The rest of the world doesn't like Seed as much. I'm not saying they hate these things, but like in polls, it's those would be the other way around, flip between the taste of things. Seed is really interesting because what Seed is, and then the Seed and Seed Destiny, it's actually kind of like a retreading of the original Gundam UC timeline, but with changes and things. But it's the basic same setup, and it has a lot of plot points which are mirrored straight from the original stuff, which is really annoying, even down to characters, and they're just done worse. So
that makes a lot of sense. Just
Yeah.
kind of from what I've seen so far, like Wonder Kid climbs into
yes, exactly. Wonder
climbs into mech.
No, it's worse. In the originals Gundam series, for anyone who doesn't know, Wonder Kid climbs into mech, finds mech, picks up manual for mech, reads mech's manual in about 20 seconds, gets in mech, and is able to take down another mech pilot who knows what they're doing in his first fight. In Seed, main character gets into mobile suit, redesigns the operating system for a giant robot he's never seen before, so he can use it. And then uses it to take out stuff in 10 seconds.
That sounds amazing.
Drew must have just cringed at that section.
I will wait for you to hand over to me. Okay.
So, see, the thing is, one of the things of Seed, I'm not entirely sure. Please don't kill me out. I'm sure a better Gundam aficionado would tell you. But my feeling of what Seed, one of the goals is to make a redo of the original show as a starting point that people could watch. And then if you tried to go back and watch the old stuff, you'd be like, oh yeah, this is just like that. So you could watch the newer thing, which has got 3D graphics, nice clear animation, nice colors, more detail, new kits, everything to get people excited into that. And then you could then go into the old stuff and have a starting point or a touchstone that you'd be like, oh yeah, this is just like that character and that character, and this is just like that mech. Oh yeah, this Gundam is just like that Gundam that controls your mind. It's things like that, and it did a good job for Seed. I just want to for doing that. It, however, had some characters which are absolutely insane. But the one thing I'm not, because we're not going to have a separate thing for Seed Destiny. Joey, have you not got to Destiny yet?
No, I haven't.
Right, okay, I'm not going to ruin that then. Destiny had started off with, I'm just going to be very bland, had some amazing potential how they tried to do something, that they were trying to make it its own thing at the start of Destiny, and then they just abandoned it, and it became the one character show, and I'm not going to say any more than that, and I just got annoyed by it. And we're going to hand it over to Xeno now, because we're not going to spend too long on Seed. Yeah, let's hand it over to, but Joey hasn't finished it, so don't ruin it for him.
I can't ruin it for him. I only got halfway through Seed and then gave up the will to live.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen Destiny, right? I do not understand how people like Gundam Seed.
It's very popular in Japan. Very popular, this one.
I don't understand how, right? It's not spoilers, right? Because it's at the very start of the series, right? You know what I'm just gonna say, right? You can hear him giggling because he knows what I'm gonna say, right? So we have a group of new types. I think they're new types, aren't they?
Oh no, what are they called?
Don't care. The new types, right? They steal the Gundams, right?
Oh, what are they called?
And we have our main protagonist, Kira. Unfortunately, his name's burnt into my brain. And he rewrites the operating system for Strike Gundam?
Yes.
Cool. Somehow that's burned in my brain as well. And unfortunately, like, so they escape the colony. This is within the first few seconds of the first episode. Like, it just 100 mile an hour, just straight out the gate. And they're making their way to a colony where one of the people on the ship that they have, her father is running the colony. And then the colony gets blown up. I'm getting this right, aren't I? It is a colony.
Yep.
Yeah. The colony gets blown up. And the girl, who we'll call Pinky, right? Because I really can't remember her name. Right? She believes that it's Kira's fault that the colony got blown up by the bad guys. Because Kira didn't join the bad guys. So therefore it's his fault that they blew up the colony. Also, this is the amazing art quality we've got, right? So,
Nice.
that looks like ass.
Not that bad. It's the early days of doing computing.
It is the early days of CG. But anyway,
Yeah.
right. But the...
What are they freaking called?
I don't care. They're new types. I'm not giving them the time of day. But so her plan is to get Kira to commit suicide, right? By making him hate himself. So to make him hate himself, she has sex with him.
Are they actually called new types? I think they are called new types, actually.
What?
That was her plan. So he will commit suicide because she's having sex. I don't think she thought this through.
No. It wasn't quite that. It was that she
What's
needed
that?
to give him a reason to fight. And she was deciding that if he keeps fighting and going out there to fight,
Chance that he'll die. That was it.
he'll die. And if he's pushed to the point that he fights like insanely, just going mental in his fighting, go berserker, he'll die because he'll overstretch himself. And so the logic she gives is that if she sleeps with him and gives him a reason to fight, he'll then go and get himself killed. But
Right.
I just don't get the logic because he's like, wait, I have to come back because I have a girlfriend now.
yeah, that was good. It's like I can't overtax myself. I can't stretch myself too thin. I have to be very careful.
Do it for her.
I've got to make sure I go back to her. And it's like fucking plot.
That sounds
is
very
fucking
silly.
dumb. It is so goddamn dumb. I cannot believe I watched half.
I just want to point out that's one of the elements not copied over from the
I
original.
was just gonna say,
fucking-
wait, what was the parallel there?
No, it's the parallel I suppose it tries to do is that it's trying to do, because it didn't want to copy all the points. There's a point if you're not watching the original Gundam show, it's like the meaning of fighting, and like especially a lot of the Gundam shows have kids who are pushed into basically becoming soldiers, and some of them are just like a peaceful life. And why should they start realizing that if I go in this robot, I'm going to go and kill people, and I don't want to do that. So they have to be given a reason to fight, and then it's normally like something like you've got to defend something on the ship. For all the people who know Xenogelion, we keep making the joke of getting the robot Shinji. That's the kind of trope. In the original Gundam show, this was done by the main character called Amuro, was just being a snotty child, and the captain, Bright Noah, slaps him repeatedly. And it's the Bright slap, and it's like, because he's just like, no, I won't fight, I won't do what you adults want. It's like, you have to, basically, because otherwise we're all going to die if you don't get in that robot and start fighting the enemies, because the enemies will still come, and then all the people on the ship will die. You need to start grow up and no. So it was kind of like this coming of age thing of it, and that's in a lot of Gundam shows. It's very famous. So I think they didn't want to copy that element directly because it would have been seen so much as it's so famous, the Bright Noah slap. So they didn't want to copy that element, so they had to come up with a new way of doing that element. And so they did this whole thing with again coming of age. Well, what are the coming of age elements have we got? How about we have a girlfriend who wants to sleep with him? Okay, yeah, let's do some twists on that, and that's what they tried to do. Yeah, so it was a bit different.
Jeez.
So fucking retarded.
Yeah.
So based on that, I never want to see this.
Good.
I want to finish it.
It is an okay point though, because it does get into it. It's modern, so it doesn't have that. You can't. It's very hard to watch the original Gundam show, for instance. Most people say like, I'll start there. Don't, because it's villain of the week on the thing. At the very least, maybe just watch the movies, which are cut down. But even then, it's still like, oh god, the animation, oh god, the acting, oh god, the lines.
if you go into it expecting that, because you know about classic anime and stuff, then
Right,
I don't think that'll be as much of a problem.
this is kind of doing a fair touch up of these things. And so again, I'm going to just say about the interesting things this does for technology. It tries to come up with nuclear weapon jammers. So what happens is the space colonies push Earth into an energy crisis by delivering neutron jammers into the Earth's core, which will prevent you using a nuclear reactor on Earth. And so the Earth's power at this point, obviously, like now, it's kind of a power against now. It's like they're, nuclear missiles. So all of the factions of Earth lose their nuclear missiles instantaneously because the space aliens go, well, no, you can't use nukes. And it's like, well, how do they try and survive that? And at the same time, they start invading, and so it goes there. So it's interesting to see how can you get around that, and should we have nukes, should we not? And then I won't make spoilers because I was about to say about what happens with that, but yeah,
I'm just gonna say, I hate this series so much. I would rather watch Reconquista again.
Oh wow! Okay, well we'll get that. So I think it's an okay one to get into it. Obviously, Joey, how are you feeling if you're at the start? How's it looking to you?
I get big Code Geass vibes so far.
What's similar time, isn't it?
I say what?
Code Geass was 2003.
2005, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think it was when I was at uni.
Were they around the same time? Well,
yeah.
I get big Code Geass vibes. I didn't like Code Geass. I know it's very highly rated. I know people rave about it, but I didn't.
We don't. Don't worry. You're in fair company here.
What
was it to do with Jupiter or Saturn or whatever it was? And the king.
We'll never know. The rocket.
Yeah. But I'm excited to finish it. I'm excited to work my way through it. I'm excited to make my way over to SEED Destiny.
Don't.
I wanna. Look. It's all context. Okay, it's all context for itself.
No. Can we have one thing going for this? Is fair enough. Watch SEED, enjoy SEED, but don't move into Destiny. Or maybe watch like the first 5 episodes of Destiny and then imagine it stopped there. That's it. That's what you should do. That's what you gotta do. That's what you gotta do. Yeah. None of that. Freaking they ruin characters. No, I'm not. No. Move on. Let's move on to something else that's different. Otherwise, I'll start spoiling it for Joey. So let's move on. Let's pick something brand new. Iron-Blooded Orphans. That's on the list.
We'll
go through a few of these and then I'll pick. I just want to tell. Forget the point. That's just me ranting. So we done Wing thing. Got 00 done.
Can we pause for just a second?
Yeah.
We done SEED now as well. So that's cool. Right. So the next show we'll move into, it's one of the newer ones, is Iron-Blooded Orphans. So have you seen this one, Joey?
Yes.
Oh, good. Right. Then it's your turn to introduce something.
Okay.
What's the difference? Explain the setting and give it a go.
So the setting is it's actually Mars has been colonized, and I mean there are some space colonies and stuff as well, but Mars supposedly like the source of conflict is the fact that Mars is under this really heavy oppression from Earth, and Earth is kind of the place where all the elites are, we'll say. So you see a lot of like kind of political, like a lot of infighting and stuff among Earth's forces, and the story kind of follows this ragtag band of child soldiers that they come into possession of basically a small military complex, and kind of start fighting for Mars's freedom. It all kind of like ramps up once they get this it's very close to the beginning is when they really kind of get their motivation to like deliver this girl who's like a political figure or the daughter of a political figure to Earth, and she very heavily empathizes with the whole with the plight of your typical like Mars person. So yeah, that's it's child soldiers, and they're all and the power of friendship and family is I think a big thing for this one.
For some reason, that's giving me like big Zone of the Ender vibes. Just hearing you describe it.
A little bit. So Zone of the Enders is more of like this kid was just like forced into the cockpit. Get into the robot.
Well, there's actually a tactics game for the Advance, I think, that's called Fist of Mars. That's really I think that one's probably a little closer to this.
No, that is the thing. The antagonist in the Ender series, their base is on Mars because in the second game, that's where you go.
Yeah. I haven't. I've only played the original one, so maybe that's.
You haven't played Second Runner.
2 is so good.
2 is much better.
First one.
Yeah.
which
System
had
Mars
the
is
best
really good too,
movement
but
system of any game I've ever played. But anyway,
And it's never popular enough for us to have more.
alas.
But the kit that I want more than anything else is a Kotobukiya Zone of the Enders Anubis. But like
Ooh.
even like pre-assembled, even like a used kit is like $150. It sucks.
Wow.
But anyway, I will say, so did I hit all the largest plot points of the show there?
Yep. We got the standard Earth being big military, kind of I think it's unified. I never remember the groupings in this, and it's kind of corrupt. We've got
it's semi-unified.
Yeah,
it's like they're barking at each other, but they won't actually do anything about it.
and there's political shenanigans exactly going on. Yeah.
I think
it's probably worth mentioning that some of the biggest allies that this group of like Mars freedom fighters picks up is basically like underworld characters, like under people that are in like the I guess
shady
like
side of yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think the other point is that with a lot of the other series, like the colonies are able to sort of like, you know, they have tactics to fight Earth and things like this, whereas Mars has always been under the thumb of Earth. They have nothing, right? Like our ragtag team of troublemakers, like they basically lucked out the fact that their stronghold was being powered by the engine of a Gundam, right?
Yeah.
That's they lucked out because they had a Gundam. They didn't even know what the fuck it was.
Yeah,
right?
it was just their generator.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for the,
it was kind of a I mean, it's an ex machina for sure, but like they also had the whole like Alea Vignana thing going for them, which was supposed to be like an indicator of the fact that like they're low status, they're just being used for they're being exploited basically. And their potential to do anything else in life is really kind of limited by their experiences in childhood. But yeah, it was kind of an ex machina, but it was a happy accident, right? This is like these kids, some of them have the Alea Vignana. Boom, they have a Gundam. Like suddenly now they're a superpower, or can contend with a superpower. I'm with you on that.
yeah.
I also I don't know if there's like an order to these things, but I will say I think this is probably worth bringing up before we get too into the weeds with like what we liked and didn't like and stuff, is the fact that this probably again, so you can catch this on Netflix. Yeah, you can see the thing. And I think because this is so accessible, I think that it would do well as one of those 3 episodes, 3 series. It would do well as that. Yeah. But I think it needs to be, if it is suggested to somebody that's never seen Gundam before, I think that it should be suggested with a little bit of a disclaimer that like, hey, most series aren't like this. Most series are there's a little more political drama involved, or like maybe this is a Gundam series thematically, I think, and this is a good series to introduce people to like, this is a Gundam, you know what I mean? And I think it's a little more on the weird side in terms of like the way that what Gundams are and how they operate and everything. But I think that I think it should be kind of brought with a disclaimer that like, hey, this series is good for introducing you to Gundams, but like most of the other plot points that are there in most of the other series aren't there in this.
I concur with that. I think that this is again similar to G Gundam, similar to Build Fighters. Like it is possibly one of the easiest series to get into because the politics side of it is quite light, right? You really spend the majority of the time with our protagonists. You don't really see some of the crazy shenanigans that our antagonists are doing. So it doesn't feel that heavy.
Yeah, our protagonists are kind of operating in a bigger game, and they can only really deal with the fight in front of them, when all these bigger actors, which they do interact with a bit but not directly, or can work on their level, they're working on a global stage, when these guys are just like, well, to start with, we just want to survive till the week so we can have some lunch. And so that's the kind of setting they're in. So, and they kind of having to try and catch up with this bigger game that's going on.
And don't get me wrong, there are elements of political drama, but I think those are there. How do I put this? Those don't frame the rest of the series. They're just they're there as kind of the culmination of the arc. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like once you get to the end of the arc, it's like, okay, well, there are these big actors that are doing this stuff. Whereas but you can watch 2 or 3 episodes and not really pick up on a whole lot of like what's going on politically.
Yeah, whereas with Gundam Wing or 00, if you're not following the political side of things, you're just like, what the fuck's going on? Why are they doing this? You know, it's... But at
what
least
does coup d'etat mean?
Is that a French food? Coup d'etat?
Yes. It's a side salad that you get with your just desserts. But anyway, but the good side is that with our ragtag team here, you know, at least you know that their motivation is always, I want to have lunch, right? I just want to survive the week. Yeah, exactly. You know, I just want to do the job. I just want to get the job done. The end. So at least you're able to follow them, right?
Well,
which is.
At the end, they find. I mean, some of them find some motivations that are a little bit bigger. We'll say.
I want to.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. As I say, it's coming of age.
I'll just leave that there. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And you actually see them grow up, and they're being forced to grow up because of the world they're being thrown in, and they're trying to survive. And
one thing I will say is I love the design of Barbados. Right.
Anyone doesn't know, that's our main character Gundam, which you can see on screen there.
Yeah.
I love the like theming with, they've all got like the names of these like demons and stuff. I think that works really well. I think that especially with the whole like Alea Vignana thing, and the fact that like, you know, if you've got this combat system installed in your body, then you are like subhuman. And I don't know. I think that the names of those like demons as Gundams, I think that works well.
Yeah.
Did it have one really long arm, or was that just the way the picture looked?
No. It is designed like it does have long arms. It has very long limbs. And
okay, so both arms are long. It's not just the one.
Yes.
Okay.
In the screenshot, he was like, one of the arms had been blown off.
Yeah. And again, I love the visible pistons, middle torso section. It's just such a lovely design. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's lovely design for a Gundam this late in the game.
Right, I'll do a small section of spoilers so I can just do a quick rant about this show, and then we can just finish off with if it shouldn't be watched and things, you know. So
well, I hit the button. There we go.
Okay, we're lucky this show. I'm just going to spoil into things of it. Oh, sorry. The Alavinyar system, because I explained everything that Joey's been going about. That's basically a thing in your back, which is a neural to computer interface. That's the technology it's exploring, you know, plugging people into computers, and what does that mean? But anyway, one thing I want to rant at is if we had this show and we're watching it now, I would give this an award for absolutely stupid no plan antagonist, because it ruins the whole freaking show. The antagonist of the show, the main thing, he's set up as this, I'm 5 steps ahead of you, and he literally is. He's like 9 steps ahead of everyone around him. He's engineered his whole life to achieve one goal, and he has been like duping everyone with his plan. And his plan is to basically take over and conquer the world. And he's like, right, how will I achieve this? What's my end step? I'll get me a Gundam. And then he believes when he has the Gundam, he has just one, right? He's an idiot, because at that point it's like he then decides, I've got no other plans past this point, so I'll just be an idiot and die, and we've got to die now because we can't come up with a plan. And yet his enemies are just like, you know, we've got those super guns over there, we know we're going to use them against you. And if this guy who's 9 steps ahead of everyone, the whole show, every episode, he's like, there's 3 versions of him. There's like the one everyone sees, the one he lets his close friend / enemy see, and then him 7 steps on a mountain behind, being like, yes, I can see every movement. I will plan everything. The whole show. And then he's like, didn't plan. What happens if they use the super guns against me? He has no plan.
So it's Pinky in the Brain.
Fucking hell.
What happens if they kick me off of Earth? I mean, they can't do that, can they?
No, oh, it's so stupid. So just to let everyone know, they have these
Will I go to
railguns,
Mars?
which
What
are...
am I going to do in Mars?
Fuck off! Fucking...
So to help Loz articulate his words, there are these illegal weapons that are railguns. They fire the projectiles at such high velocities to the point of range. They can't be tracked. They can't be deflected. They cause so much damage. They are banned. They are just flat out banned. And they only use like a couple during the course of the whole series. Yeah. But then at the very end, there's a whole fucking line of them. And it's like, oh, I didn't see this coming. Like,
yeah, he tries to do a coup d'etat to take over the world government, gets his super Gundam that was like, whoever has this Gundam is like the leader, because it was the old leader's Gundam, and he can pilot it because he figures how to get the thingy
Whoever
thing
pulls
in the
this
system.
Gundam from the stone.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. Right. And that's the thing he thinks he gets. And literally, there are apparently, I think they say there's several of these illegal weapons in storage. There's like they're like storage warehouses or something. And there's only one of them. These were only the railguns are only in one of them. They don't even mention what's the other ones. And he doesn't have any plan that, what happens if they use the stupidly powerful railguns against me? And the thing is, though, it does look like he does have a plan, because it's like, okay, I checked the super Gundam, I want to take over the world, and there's like this other group saying, no, we're not going to let you do that. And so he comes to the fight with an asteroid in the middle of his army versus the other army. They literally line up. And you think like, he's got some clever plan. Well, they'll all hide behind the asteroid, and then they'll, when they start using the railguns. No, he literally just goes, I've got Gundam now, we have a straight fight, and the other opposing faction use a false flag and make it look like he's using railguns so they can pull out 100 railguns when they had one, and it was all a false flag operation. And it's just so stupid. And then after that, they just literally go on a downward hill towards the end of the show where they can't do anything, and everyone's going to die now. Kill them all. Tamino wins again.
So that was the point I wanted to raise in this spoiler section. That's my only concern about recommending this series to anyone, is the fact that it does not end on a happy ending.
Oh, it's so fucking annoying. Oh, and then the guy who does it, who authorized use of railguns, he should take him for war crimes. No, he just wins. It's like,
he becomes the new king.
And that's the thing, is that it's not like so I heard people say, like, I've heard the warnings, like, yeah, it's not a happy ending, and I thought, okay, well, it's gonna be a twist ending then, right? But no. Like, you can see everything leading up to it. You're like, yeah, everybody's definitely going to die. Like, he definitely doesn't have a plan right now. He did this whole time. You would think he would, but he definitely doesn't right now.
Yep.
And then you're on this slow course for like 5 episodes of like, we better head back to Mars to die when they all turn up. Or we're back on Mars, they're all going to turn up and kill us. Or they've turned up and we're killing them, and they're going to eventually kill us with their overwhelming numbers and railguns. Oh, look, we're all dead. Okay.
So my question to Joey is how, if you're going to recommend this to someone, how would you say, right, listen, this does not have a happy ending. This has a sad ending, but I still think you should watch it. Like, how can you convince someone to watch it without letting them get completely turned off by the very end?
So I would give them a little disclaimer that, like, look, you get to the end of season 1. If you enjoyed it, watch something else, and then if you enjoy that something else, come back and watch season 2.
Right.
That's what I would, because it's
good. Yeah.
That's what I would say.
That's a power.
Watch something else. You don't really care about the end of these characters, and you realize other things exist. Then go watch them die. Right. So let's have the spoiler tag off now. Let's round up this one. Cool. It just annoys me so much.
Does it annoy you just so much?
It does annoy me so much. Right, so, Nasuth, do you want to ask the questions?
No, I'm all right. I'm all right with you doing it.
Oh, yeah, I'll do it. So I was asking Joey and Xeno then, would you recommend the show to a new person watching Gundam? I think Joey already did, with the explanation of it's a bit different, but do watch it. But would you recommend this to new people?
Would you recommend it to me?
Yeah.
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I would, but I would recommend it with the disclaimer that, like, this one's a little bit different from a lot of the other ones. This is more of like an action anime, and it's a good introduction to, like, what are Gundams. I think after you watch this, I think you can see other Gundams in other series and be like, yep, that's definitely a Gundam. But I would say that thematically, it's not a great representation of what some of these other series can do. It's not a great representation of the conversation that these other series can kind of spark.
Yeah. Xena, do you want anything on that?
Yeah. So Nasuth, have you seen and do you like Game of Thrones?
I did see Game of Thrones. I gave up on it around the time of the Red Wedding.
Okay.
Or was it the assault on
Well,
I don't
yeah,
know.
it's fine. You gave up, right? Okay,
right around
fine.
that time.
So I'm gonna say yes. You should watch this, but you gotta understand, war is not a pretty thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, the only reason I gave up on Game of Thrones is because I thought it was boring.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
Like,
I'm going to say, actually, if people do a 3-episode thing of it, if you're liking it, that's fine. But I would say, I think the first 10 episodes of this are a little slow. There were times, like episode 7 or 8, I'm just like, somebody getting a Gundam, someone getting a Gundam, please.
Oh, so what's with this? What's with this image?
Oh, okay. So I can explain this. It's quite early on in the series, but this is one of the... I'm going to call him a slaver. He is... he was in charge of the kids when they were... I can't remember what their role was. Were they mining?
No, they were child soldiers. That's what... They were child soldiers, and they put the... Joey, remember what it's called? What's it called, Joey?
Oh, aluminum something. Aluminum. No, not aluminum. Alloy something. Non-metal, semi-metal, rare. No, shit, I can't remember it.
The cyborg interface. There we go.
I meant the cyborg interface.
Oh yeah, the Alea Vignana.
Yeah, versus they did that on the kids because it was a technology that back in the prime of the when the original wars and things, it was very easy to give that to somebody. But at this point, I think it had like a 30% chance of succeeding, and if you didn't, you were just left as a vegetable. So it was easy to do that to kids.
As a kid as well.
Yeah, they had a better chance doing it on kids, and also they could just they're expendable because there was these kids on Mars and nobody cared about them, and they're orphans. So just use it on the kids, and then they could pilot the suits. But some of them would be better than others, so it was just a force of people they could do that with. Whereas adults, you're going to be like, I can give this injection, you have like a 20% chance of succeeding, 80% chance of becoming a vegetable. No one's going to do it. So he basically, had all the kids under his thumb, so they were his slave workforce of. Yeah. He was a PMC, private military company.
Oh, okay.
So he was one of the guys from the PMC, and he sort of like, yes, I'm on your side, so on and so forth. And it turns out he's actually working for one of the Earth factions, giving them information and things like that. They quite quickly catch on and effectively send him back to the Earth forces, and like
as a message.
It has a message on his body, which is like, this is one of yours. Do with him as you will.
Gotcha.
I think the pod he's in, they literally dump the pod into space, and then the other Earth people pick up the pod with him in it, naked and hogtied and written on his chest.
Yeah. So that was that. I cannot remember this guy at all, though.
I don't remember that. Is it
Scar? Yeah, it's Excalibur.
Okay.
That's a helmet that Frontline Hazmat made, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
No, it's
Blade of the Lotus.
It's the. I don't want to spoil. We already did the spoilers. I
don't remember that at all. Okay.
Well, right. I'll talk to you about them later if you want.
Sure. Right. Next one, Loz. All I heard was so G.
So something completely different, and something we should advise everyone to watch.
Yeah.
Because it's
all right, everybody, say it with me. Is it the East is shining, burning red? Is that? Oh my God.
This hand of mine is burning red. Yeah.
Anywho,
I don't. What?
Okay, so I'm going to
This is the response to what G Gundam does to people.
Right. G Gundam is a series that's effectively, well, what if we had a fighting tournament but with Gundams?
Ooh.
Yes. That is what G Gundam is.
Nasuth, have you seen Naruto?
No. God, no.
Good.
No. Okay. Stayed far away from it.
Good.
I've seen Dragon Ball though, so
Good enough.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Tournament shows, yeah.
Is
anyone going to say anything?
So it's just a tournament show.
I thought Xeno was introducing it.
Okay. People kept on interrupting.
Oh my God.
It is. Right. No, it is. It actually is. It actually is Robot Jocks, but the Gundams. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So Earth was a complete wasteland after World War III, and they ended up using it. So they have like loads of colonies out in space, which are like the giant asteroids. America is a star,
Of course.
with like absolutely fucking massive Statue of Liberty. It's Statue of Liberty, isn't it?
It is.
That's
Yeah.
their combat module.
I remember you talking
Right.
about this.
Right. Save that. Yeah. If anyone watches it,
Right.
yes, it is the
And what you call it? Like it's like each country has a Gundam, and our main protagonist here, I can't remember his name, Loz.
Domon.
Domon
Domon.
Kashu.
There you are.
There you go. He is trying to find his brother, or trying to find.
Have you
his
seen this
son.
man?
Yeah. It's like it's kind of crazy.
Shoves photograph in someone's face.
Yep. And yeah, it's so it's basically just a tournament show.
Okay,
Just why the tournament show is important. So you got the colonies in space for all the different countries of the Earth, and they all are thematic. It's stupid, but so instead of having a UN where we just vote randomly who gets to be the person in charge, they decide who gets to decide what happens on Earth. So there are still people living on Earth, but it's like who decides to be the country in charge of I'm not saying that they're in charge and they'll just dick over everyone else, but they'll be in charge and kind of be the one maintaining everything and be the one in pseudo power.
Yes,
Let's
this
say.
one.
So they all have
the windmill. Oh my god.
Yeah, the
Is
windmill
America
Gundam,
like
the
a
Gundam,
boxer?
the best Gundam.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So there's Africa
Wait,
and Norway and
the
Netherlands.
The American Gundam is like he's like a boxer, but like the Gundam helmet is like an American football helmet.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
And he's got like football pads. Yeah, it's crazy.
And the name of the pilot is Chibbity Crockett. Just so
To be clear, I've never seen
dear.
this. I've just picked this up from these two.
Oh, it's so good. Right, so they all have the fight on Earth where every colony can submit one Gundam down to Earth, and they all have a preliminary fight where they all just go around the Earth, wandering around, and they have like several months to do that, just fighting. The rules is if your Gundam's head gets destroyed, you are disqualified. Then after a certain amount of time, the actual finals begin with anyone who's remaining, and then whoever wins the tournament, their colony and their country becomes the ruling country for a while. Yeah, till the next tournament.
I got a funny feeling that our main protagonist, like, he went down illegally. He wasn't Japan's representative.
Oh,
do you want me to explain?
Yeah.
Because you guys missed a big plot point. Should you explain?
Yeah.
So, in Japan, this was not Japan's Gundam, but in Japan, a Gundam that was invented called the Dark Gundam or the Devil Gundam. That supposedly could self-reproduce, self-repair, and there was one other like big power that it could have.
Oh yeah, it does. Yes.
And
Was it evolving? It's evolving its third power or something.
Yeah, I think something like that. So Domon Kashi, the main character, his brother supposedly killed his mother and took off with the Dark Gundam or the Devil Gundam or whatever to Earth. And his father was accused of like some kind of crime, so he went into like stasis or whatever. So Neo Japan basically took Domon. And they said, hey, guess what? You're going to be our fighter. You're going to go down and represent Neo Japan. But the whole time you're down there, you're going to try and find your brother and take out the Dark Gundam. That was a huge plot point for a lot of this stuff. Because that was the whole, like, have you seen this man? I hope that shouldn't be a spoiler thing. Because that's pretty much...
No, that's fine. That's fine.
No. Yeah. It's alluding there's more than just silly. It does have an overarching story, and it does, and things happen. And it's good. It's good. It's definitely good. But I don't think there's much for you to say about that. Just go and watch it. It's amazing.
There's Chibbity Crockett, by the way. That's him. That's my boy Chibbity. Oh my God.
I can't remember who that is in the background. That Gundam.
That was
Giant
Neo
Bell.
Nepal's. Neo Nepal. His pilot was an assassin.
Yeah.
But this show is so damn flavorful.
Yeah.
It is also just be aware. So you know how like Japan is known for its like cultural xenophobia. There's a lot of like just weird ass cultural appropriation in this. So just be aware. Like it's just be aware. They've got like the Tequila Gundam and
Gundam.
But what about the German Ninja Gundam?
The German
Schwarzbruder! Oh my God, I'm sorry.
It's so good. No, it's so good. Yeah, no, if you don't, It's from a different time, and you would not get this made today because, as you say, it's Japan when Japan was a bit closed off, and what Japan thought. There we go. There was
New America.
Yeah. What did Japan think Africa's Gundam would be? What did they think Denmark's Gundam would be? What did they think Netherlands' Gundam would be? And yeah, some of them are just a bit. Oh god, the Scud Gundam for Iraq is just like okay.
I remember France's Gundam.
Yes,
And it had the rapier.
Yep.
Yes.
A bicorn hat. Yeah.
Oh
Yep.
God.
Big
Yeah.
Napoleonic
The
bicorn
rose
hat.
bits. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Neo
Very
Canada's Grizzly Gundam. I love how like most of the Gundams, the only way that you could tell like what country it was from was by the hat. That like Canada had the like I forget what like
Maple
Canada
leaf?
had like one of the they didn't have a maple leaf. They had the character had like the one of these kind of deals going on.
Oh, what are those called?
And there was-
Ushenka? No.
The Tequila Gundam had a sombrero. It was again it was made in a different time and
It was dumb and fun.
Chibbity Crockett had the American Gundam had the football helmet. It's
Like
it's
as long as you don't take it seriously, it is just dumb and fun.
It's
Yeah.
tongue in cheek. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, though, we have the appearance of the strongest Gundam ever, which is the Nether Gundam, mass-produced weapon of mass destruction.
Right. I don't know if there's any like I would certainly use this as an introductory to Gundam only because it just explains like the passion levels behind what Gundam is. Right. It has none of the politics involved whatsoever. I just think this is a good stepping stone into introducing people.
Yeah, it sounds less like a Gundam show and more like a tournament show that just happens to have Gundams in it.
Yes.
Yeah. But it gets you used to having giant robots and accepting what has to do with a giant robot. And
Yep. And some of the stupid stuff that happens with the giant robot.
I
Go on.
I will say I feel like again I feel like because this is so heavily stylized in a way that's so different from the rest of the series, I feel like that needs a disclaimer if you recommend it to somebody that's never seen any Gundam stuff.
Yes. This is the only Gundam with the whole bodysuit thing.
I was going to say one of the best control systems for a Gundam.
Yes, instead of the two joysticks.
Yeah, instead of just doing everything two joysticks.
Plays by Pacific Rim rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is good. So we won't need spoilers, and I don't really want us to say anymore because it is just so good. Just watch it. It is available on Crunchyroll. It is even available on Gundam.info on YouTube. Just type that in, and they're showing it there. So literally, there's no excuse. It's so easy to find the show. It is good fun, and I haven't watched this in a while. But oh my god, it's so much fun. Yeah, there we go. There's your American Gundam with his shoulder pads and
his cheerleaders.
It's good. It's good. It's good. Yeah, that's.
Where to next?
Yeah, and definitely would advise people to watch it, but under the proviso, it's you if you want to love giant robots, then you'll do it. But it's though actually saying that these days, it's very similar to Build Fighters actually. So there is other Gundam shows you could watch after this and still be one true.
Right,
let's move. Let's move on to
one last thing I've got to say is that I saw somebody mention once that one of the main points of every Gundam series is that everyone's a bad guy from somebody's perspective. And G Gundam is one of the few series where that's not the case. Like Domon is a bad guy in nobody's eyes. He's just there to like save the world with the power of love, and like that's it. Like
and understanding through people through punching them.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of
communicate with their fists.
I kind of would like Joey to explain his like for Gundam build divers.
Okay. I was going to see what Vomit in G was.
Reconquista.
Let's not even talk about. Oh, it's Reconquista. Let's not even talk about that one because I'm just like, no. Let's go build divers. Yeah. Because let's do some new stuff because this is obviously that's a really old. G Gundam's a bit old. So it's 94. God, it's almost 20 years old now.
Is it really 94?
No, wait. Was that 30 years?
Yes.
20.
I thought it was like 80s, man. I like legit.
No, 94.
Let's do some of the. Yeah. In fact, I think this is Build Divers and then Rewrites. I think are the newest mainline Gundam shows, as in proper shows. So yeah, this is the newest thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Anything. I suppose pandemic's holding it back. Yeah.
So how would I describe build divers?
So
Yeah,
okay.
go for it.
I want to describe my understanding of build divers, and hopefully you can correct it.
Yeah.
I was always feeling, from what little I did watch of build divers, this is basically Gundam's answer to the growing isekai fad in Japan.
I would say that's a fair thing. Yeah.
Because effectively, it's not about kids building Gundams like it was in Build Fighters. It was, hey, let's play a PC game and with VR headsets and stuff and MMO Gundam it up.
So I haven't seen Build Fighters, but I will say that there seemed to be a lot more focus on the game aspect than there was the Gunpla aspect. I mean, like, it was the Gunpla was there to lend context to the rest of the series, or to the rest of the plot and everything, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It was there as a vehicle for these characters to kind of express themselves and to express the fact that, like, to express their growth. Because, I mean, it kind of caused me to approach Gunpla a little bit differently because, I was kind of able to like take a look through over my kits and kind of see how I've progressed and how I've, like what things I've learned and stuff like that. So it made the characters, I guess, a little more relatable for me. But
I will point out,
I think that
if you feel that from this, you'll watch Build Fighters and have that ramped up to 10.
Oh, that's cool.
If you want that feeling, if you want more of that feeling, Build Fighters.
So, but yeah, I will say that the focus was a lot more on the game aspects of it, on the like, hey, this is an MMO, where anyone can be anything, and that is something that I think is how do I put this? It pulls from a lot of the context of other isekais, so I can see where you're coming from.
So, what? If I remember correctly from the start of this, you really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I did.
Sorry, actually, can I just say, have you seen the pre-episode they did?
The pre-episode?
Yeah, there's a Build Divers pre-episode, and this is the thing. It's really awesome. In fact, I like it more than the Build Divers whole first season because it really does the whole. It just goes for the existing characters who are already playing the game, and they go up against the challenge. Have you not seen that? It's like not counted in the actual main line of it. Oh, it's so much better than because I feel they do a lot of the game stuff in that, like trying to beat a challenge, with these people, with this people. So yeah. Anyway, sorry, wait, that's Re-Rise. Why is Re-Rise on there? Is that Re-Rise? No, wait, no,
honestly, I couldn't tell. I couldn't.
That's Divers. That's Divers. That is Divers. That's Divers.
So hard to tell.
Sorry.
I'll watch it for sure. Because I mean, again, I did really enjoy this. It wasn't like. There's no political drama. It didn't like stress the I think and this is saying
why,
a lot, I think.
Why is it called Europa?
Why
have they highlighted Europe and called it Europa? That's not the moon. Look between their heads, right?
Oh,
it
yeah,
says
you see
Europa.
Africa down below them.
That well.
Yeah, they put Europa. That's not Europa.
Yeah, they normally. That's
Europe.
Remember, Japan sees things differently. That's how they see it. We're eventually just going to become the U's going to take over and make Europa.
So we are now a moon of Jupiter.
That's no moon.
I would not recommend this series to new viewers, to people that are 100% new to Gundam.
Right.
And the reason why is because there is everything in this series, every little thing pulls from other series. Like I think what was his name, Tiger Wolf's Gundam has a hyper mode, and that's never explained. They never even use the words hyper mode to describe it, but he totally has the thing where like his Gundam turns gold and then he does his like super move. Same for like Trans Am only gets like a cursory explanation. You know what I mean? Like
which is a big thing from 00. Yeah.
Yeah. You get no explanation about what a GN drive is, but you see a bunch of these Gundams using it, and it's like that's cool. And then there's a lot of context there, like in the first episode when they're doing some world building, and they go into the world, and that one kid whose name I forgot is he's like he's geeking out about all the references to other series and stuff. He's like, look, that's the Sync Kingdom from Gundam Wing. Look, that's that's what's the name of the city from Gundam 00, the main city that so much of it takes place in. I forget, but
I can't remember.
I can't remember either. But the kid's like going around geeking out about all this stuff, and there are a lot of. I mean, he's kind of like he is there to explain a lot of parts of the Gundam series that hopefully you would have already picked up on. And he explains it for the people that have never seen it before, but I think that there's a lot of weight to that, and there's a lot of implied world building that kind of relies on having at least some exposure to some of the other series. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have one very
for just
important
people.
question. All right, I have one very important question. I have seen countless images of 00 in this. Loz, why did I give up on this show?
Because it. Okay, so that's what I'll explain. So the key thing of this is that Gundam shows, and it's the same thing with Build Fighters, are trying to do something different. They're trying to come up with different formulas, and they're trying to be more relevant. That's why this is trying to bring in that whole. It's not an isekai. They're not trapped in a video game, but they're playing a video game that's throughout the world, where you build your own Gundam as a model kit, a Gunpla, and you take it to a special center, and it gets scanned in, and then what use is in the game. And as Joey was saying, the more effort you put into the construction, special paints, detailing. Extra weapons, everything you put on your thing in the Gunpla you have gets transferred into the game. So the more effort you put in, normally will make it stronger in the game. And it does do some. I felt it was quite weak. It does try and do that premise where they're exploring an MMO sort of thing. But I actually wanted them to do more with it because I feel it gets sidelined by its own issues, which it comes with. It's not really a spoiler, really, because this is quite early. Is computers generating AI constructs, and those constructs being people, and that becomes the main premise of what happens when an AI becomes sentient and as a person, and people trying to save that person, and some people remove that person, and then some people who just want to tear everything down. So it just becomes that, and it's like I would have much enjoyed it if they were kind of exploring more. Abandoned it because it was just like, what are they doing? Oh well, they're doing something with their friend AI character who doesn't understand about this, or they're doing this or something. I think that's what you should. Yeah. But it is worth it, and I want to say, Re-Rise is better than Divers, and then Re-Rise, even in a clever way, goes back and improves all of Divers. I'm going to say more on that, but it's so good. So yeah.
Okay.
Joe
so
wants to jump in there.
You mentioned the AI thing.
Is my connection lagging out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty laggy.
Hang on,
Right,
hang on. I can sort it out.
Pause.
Pause.
So I think Joey was about to say
Joey
something.
was mentioning something about the MMO
yeah.
thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Drew, I'm gonna change the way that you feel about Build Divers.
Good.
Right now, right?
Maybe
Build
one
Divers. Build Divers.
Mm-hmm.
Gundam, and I don't know if this is a spoiler or not.
Okay.
We might have to. I don't with what
Nah,
Loz was
just keep
saying
going.
about AI and stuff. Build Divers is Gundam
Yeah.
plus
Okay.
Chobits.
Nasuth is entirely put off right now.
Yep. I
mean,
the themes of Chobits were fine. It was just the execution that I didn't like.
To be honest, I was okay with Gundam Build Divers. The problem for me was I feel it's a series that's better binge watched than as we were watching it every week, because it was just like it would start to get to something interesting and then see you next week. I'm like, oh the fuck. I feel that if you can binge watch it, it would probably be a lot more enjoyable as a watch. Also, I could have sworn his Gundam, the main kid's Gundam, was from SEED.
No.
Yeah, it was
definitely 00. That's not Exia, that's 00.
Oh, excuse me. It was 00. Right from the
He's
get-go.
got two GNs.
Yeah, because he's got the two. Yeah, okay.
And it's on his shoulders. It's 00. Fight me.
He's a massive Exia fanboy.
I love Exia. Exia's such a cool design. I got so hyped for when it was debuted in Build Fighters as well. and then they ruin it with the shoes.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I maybe we can get. Oh.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead, Loz.
Okay, so as Joe was pointing out there, so because this is a Gundam MMO thing, and this is something similar that the build fighters has in the background, lots of the times when you see background shots, a lot of those are characters from other Gundam shows, which you don't need to pick up on. It's kind of like nods and things to like, oh, that person got a happy ending or whatever. And yeah, so this show does expect you to know quite a few other Gundam shows and know that what is the system or the MacGuffin of the Gundam from those different shows, and they're using this. But I would say, you would lose a bit if you don't understand what's going on, but you probably could at least watch this and understand they're just fighting in a video game and get on with it at least. And then if you do go look it up, you'll only understand it better. So you could get by. Yeah, if you just accept they have name thing from thing that does thing.
So two other things really quick. One is that so again, that one kid exists, and he is like a huge Gundam fanboy to try and like to try and introduce people to concepts from Gundam that they might not have been introduced to, right? And one of the things that I loved about the series is like he mentions at one point that like, oh yeah, Gundam's got a thing with like masks. That's a very common thing, and like I didn't realize that, but like as soon as he mentioned that, like it instantly clicked. And I was instantly like, oh yeah, Zex Marquise, like Char Aznable, and the fact that like these are like dual identities. Troa Barton, right? And the fact that like he's got the mask, like he never really wears it in the show, but he's got the mask with him, indicates the whole dual identity thing. So like really, you could have known about the whole like Troa Barton like name assumption thing before it was ever introduced. And I love that. I love the fact that.
I do feel though that some series they do have those masked characters, those Char wannabes, and they do fuck all with them, right? Like the Char that was in Gundam 00, it's barely rememberable. Like, do you remember Graham at all, Oz?
No.
There were two.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, no, I'm thinking of another.
Right. So
Iron-Blooded Orphans.
Yeah, I couldn't remember that one at all.
Yeah, okay, so sometimes they don't always land, but there is characters. Yeah. They don't always have to. If they were always the important character, you would.
It's the stupid guy. I guess that might be no. And so they have.
Let's leave it. Okay, fine.
The other thing I was going to mention. So I asked this to Loz before the show, and I'm going to go ahead and reintroduce the question, given that he's hopefully had a little bit of time to think about it. What would your Gunpla be?
Oh, I could have answered that right away. I would use a modified GPO3, which no one's going to get. With GPO3 is from 0083. I just like it as a Gundam from the style of it. It's kind of like the basic original Gundam. I don't have a picture to put up, but it is kind of more stylized because it was in that lovely period of the 80s where everything was hand-drawn and super detailed. It also has these massive cool vernier thrusters on the back. And the other cool thing about it, though I wouldn't count this as actually the Gundam itself, is you plug it into this massive weapons platform, which is just amazing. And that 0083 is great because it ends up with two basic, the protagonist, the antagonist have two giant weapons platforms that are ahead of their time, just duking out with each other. It's just amazing. Yeah, and that's the GPO3. I also love the style of it. GPO2 is kind of cool. I love all three of them, the GPO line, which is kind of like it's in the main Gundam timeline, but it's in a weird thing where the story is that they almost get they were classified technologies that get hushed away after their use, even though they're ahead of the time. So that's how they kind of fit into the continuity without affecting all the later Gundams. And yeah, the GPO 1, 2, and 3 are my favorites, but I would take a GPO 3 and I'd make variants on it.
I see.
It's just so sim and plain and nice.
Right.
What about you, Joey?
I want to know what Drew's got because I saw him.
It's Exia.
You don't even need Exia.
Johnny, I could.
Is it really?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Move on.
Mine would be a Toggies variant.
Oh.
Toggies was always the Toggies 2 specifically, Trace's Toggies, the blue one. That was always my favorite, like mobile suit from any of them. Unless.
Oh no! Sorry. Yes. Yeah. 2. Yeah. 2.
Unless we're going with non-Gundam mechs, in which case it would be a kit bash between like the Zoids Liger Zero Jaeger with like a bunch of parts from the like Endless Waltz Wing Gundam. You just imagine like a Liger Zero Jaeger with these like huge feathery wings.
Let's ask Nasuth as well. For I know you've only got Gundam Wing, but if you had to pick something from Gundam Wing, if you don't know the name, describe it, and I'm sure I can tell you.
Yeah, probably the wing one from Endless Waltz
cool.
specifically.
Those wings are cool.
Those wings are cool.
Yeah. Nice. Right. Yeah, so if we all got to play, which I hope one day will take over the world, a Gundam-based MMO, those are the Gundams we would build to take into the game with us. Yep, definitely. That would be cool. Yep. Right.
I'm going to suggest we limit it down to only like one or two more to talk about.
What I was going to suggest... Oh, what was I was going to say? Oh, no. Can I just... I'll just rant quickly about AGE, and then I wanted to just go into the whole UC timeline as a thing, so it'd just be two more.
Sure.
And I'll just talk if you want, and then we'll just get out, because I see that I'm aware of the time we got a bit. So let me just do AGE, because I assume I'm the only one who's watched AGE.
Yeah,
I only watched like the first few. The first generation I watched.
Right, so I'll just rant, and you guys can just get a lesson from you on this one. So obviously this is 2011. So we just had Build Divers, which is kind of like trying to modernize Gundam into a new way. And the goal of there was too many goals of this show. This show, as you notice, it's quite nice and simplified and large, vibrant colors. Their goal was trying to get kids back into Gundam with this show. And at the same time, they were like, how can we? Normally it's 52 episode arcs, a main Gundam line series. It's 52 episodes, and they go through the whole plot, like Gundam Wing, X, G, they all do that kind of thing. This then decided, well, how can we make it different? And it's called Gundam AGE, or I just call it AGE. I think it's probably AGE, but I call it AGE because it doesn't deserve being called AGE. And it's a really cool idea. So we've got our three protagonists on the screen there, or there's three Gundams there, yeah? We start with the guy in the middle who's old there. This is at the end of the show, right? And we start with the main character, and then after like 13 or 40 episodes, we move on to his son becoming the protagonist, and then 14, 15 episodes, we move on to his son becoming the protagonist. And the other character's still in the world. So it was trying to show, instead of these fights where the fights feel quite short and it's over the space of months, this is actually a conflict over the space of years. And it was, again, because this is pre-Iron-Blooded Orphans, this is the first show that tried to make Mars the main antagonist rather than the space colonies, and that Mars had been kind of abandoned by Earth, and there was because of radiation, of how they tried to develop Mars, there's radiation going on, so the people on Mars are suffering, so they're coming back with new technologies to try and take over Earth. And so the first protagonist is kind of like, they don't understand the enemy, they're rubbish, they've had nothing to fight against, so they're trying to evolve to fight of it. Then the mid one is like, okay, we're now into a little bit of a war footing, we're actually the Earth is gaining some ground and trying to fight back. And then the third age, the third kid, it's just like massive all-out war between Earth and Mars on a massive scale. And it is really cool in that premise, but at the same time, if you notice, it's very bold, very simple colors. They're trying to get kids back into Gunpla, and that's what they're trying to appeal to. So it kind of scales back its messages and things, even though it's on this really cool thing where it's dark but childish at the same time. It's just trying to do much. So, for instance, no, I'm just going to go to spoilers. Don't need to about spoilers. Don't put the tag on. The first kid is just a dick.
Is he?
The first character is the first kid who you like root for at the start. He's there throughout the whole show. So he's a kid at the start in the first age, and then he's kind of like a bit of an adult because he's got his son is now the protagonist in the second age, and then he's an old man in the third age. And at the start, he has like he's a new type or whatever, and his new type girlfriend gets killed, and he never forgives the Martians from this, and is just an utter dick to them, and just wants to kill Martians for the rest of the show, and it becomes quite a problem plot point, and it just ruins the show. And then also that the bad guy from the Mars in the third age just is an idiot and kills his own girlfriend with his big space cannon for no reason. It's just so stupid. But like, as you see there, you've got the three, and the characters develop. So obviously there's the old, you can just see him above Joey and Nasuth. That's the first protagonist is an old grizzled old man. On his right is his son, who's now one of the best Gundams actually. He's like a pirate bone based Gundam. It has like it even has a hook arm. It's really good. That's actually really cool. And then there's on the left, we've got at the back, we can't see him, is the new kid protagonist. So see, as I said, it's trying to get kids into it. So there's always a child protagonist in this show, but it moves through time as it does it. So in some ways it was so cool and trying to do some groundbreaking stuff, but at the same time they were really hampered because it just feels childish at points, and it's just like, it can't do the weight of things that like Iron-Blooded Orphans then took the points of like the kids as protagonists and fighting Mars, but made it really gritty and hard and exploring those adult themes. So yeah, it's a good show, but it just trying to achieve too much. So I would advise you. Anyone could probably watch this because it is meant as a starting point for kids. It doesn't really hit any of the high notes because of it. It just kind of goes, eh.
I just remember the second generation kid. Like he was just a whiny little shit the entire time. Oh,
No,
that's why
see,
that's why I give up.
that's okay. Don't spoil or anything. But okay, so the first kid, the first protagonist, he is a new type. His son is, even though he's like living in the shadow of his super space ace pilot dad who's a new type, he's not a new type. So, and he is really whiny about it at first because they think, but it actually really then evolves him as a character because he has to try and survive and fight against people living in the shadow of his dad. Everyone's expecting these high things for him, and he's not a new type, so he has to find out ways to be a better fighter just without using super psychic powers. And then but when you see him in the third arc, he is just really badass because of it.
Fair.
So that's actually really cool. You see these arcs for characters over time, and it's really good, but it just is hampered because, as I say, it's trying to do too much. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Let's just do now we're going to approach the big thing, and I'm just going to jump between things. The main Gundam timeline. So let's just put the origin on. Yeah, strap in.
Can we?
Wait, do you want the origin, the movie?
I want to say the origin. Nasuth, okay. Sorry, the Joey, what are you saying?
I'm just saying we should totally revisit the like the UC timeline just as its own separate.
You know, I think we could do a whole. Yeah, I wanted to do as many shows as possible, and we've done none of the main Gundam timeline yet. We could do a whole nother 2-hour episode on just this timeline. So you know, there's so many shows in the main timeline, and so many points, and so much depth. It is so good. But we're just gonna have to do a blitz at the moment now.
Well, yeah, say what you want, and we will schedule another one.
Right, Joey, do you want to just quickly introduce the origin then?
The origin, yeah.
Because I want to say, I would almost think this is, if I was going to get someone to Gundam.
From what I've seen, I would recommend the origin for somebody wanting to get into the Universal Century timeline stuff.
Go for it. Go.
So the origin, in how do I put this in? My guess is that the original Gundam series was not nearly as well thought out as most more modern anime. And the origin was something that was very recently released. I want to say it was 2019. It's kind of redone with a lot better animation and everything, but it tells the story of a lot of the characters leading up to the original Gundam series. So you get an introduction to a lot of these characters. It really kind of fleshes them out and does a lot of world building to help set the stage for the original series.
Yep.
And it's a lot more. I cannot stress this enough. It's a lot more modern. It has a much more modern style of animation. It's got like CG mixed with like anime, 2D like anime elements and stuff, which is a lot. It's a lot easier to watch. It has a modern soundtrack and some modern voice acting, and it has a dub, and it's a lot more accessible than that's. I always think the biggest issue that I've always seen with a lot of the UC stuff is that a lot of it tends to be very inaccessible. And that's really unfortunate because it lays a lot of groundwork for a lot of other stuff. Like you guys are talking about new types. I'm sure Nasuth is like, like what? And the whole the concept of a new type is something that a lot of other series touch on. That's I'd say another common thread in a lot of like Gundam anime and stuff. And that's something that I think until you've seen some of the UC stuff, that tends to fall through the cracks. It tends to be like, okay, well, new type Gundams, cool, because there's a new Gundam, but so I get it, but yeah, that's what Gundam the Origin. They've also got some really badass kits, so there you go.
I would say also it doesn't just do an updated version of them. You're saying like it's all art style new. Some of the characters, I mean, these look all high detail, but they actually still, especially with some of the Xeon characters you see, are still true to the original. They don't just completely redo them.
And one of my favorite things about the Origin, one of the things that got me the most excited about it as I was watching it, is the fact that and we were talking about this before the show a little bit. It's obvious that somebody there was really passionate about it. They have some scenes that are well done and really well done, that are kind of stylistically updated, but they're true structurally to how they were depicted in the initial anime. And I love that. I mean, it's clear that I think. Loz, you said earlier that it wasn't just okay, well, let's put out some more Gundam stuff, let's make some more money. It was somebody that really cared about this, and it shows. And it's easy to get excited about that.
Definitely. So I'm literally just going to spat out words and things. So this is the prelude to what's called the 1 Year War, which was the original Gundam series, and it's really good. I don't want to spoil anything, and it also tells it more from a lot of it from what I considered the bad guy side. And I think Joey said earlier that in most shows, you don't. There's nobody's a good guy. There's always pros and cons to the side, and this does a really good job of showing you from the colony side of things what's going on. And there's both good and bad in them. They're not just meh, 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 we are the Nazis of space, which I think what they originally designed them as. There's a lot more to them. They are a lot more depth, and it's a lot, interesting power struggles and good and bad and everything. But okay. At the end, I'm going to just touch on things because I know I've got it in here, and I want to say like one of the best Gundam series. I would not. The origin definitely it might be even the best starting point to get into Gundam as a general, and you can jump from anywhere. Can we have War in the Pocket on?
Oh shit! Which one's that one?
It's really old. I don't know where it is.
Is it this one?
I want to watch it. I really want to see it after what you said about it earlier.
Okay, I'm not spoiling this, but okay, so to the end of the 1 Year War, there was this show, and this is entirely a side story, but like if you want to get a microcosm of like the feels of what a Gundam show is trying to get across to you in like 6 episodes, it's entirely this. This is the end of the war, and the war is going to end shortly. There's a colony, and the space people, the Xeon forces, they're the people that live in space on space colonies, are trying to prevent the production of a new Gundam, which is going to be given to the main character called Amuro from the main story, and they have to not let it get off this this colony. And if they let it get off the colony, their orders are that the colony is going to be nuked. So they have to try and destroy the Gundam because they want to help. They don't want to kill colonists, but they're people living in space as well, and they have to try and take out this Gundam before it can be delivered and sent off, and that is their mission. And it has some amazing battles. It has some amazing one-off Gundams. It has some amazing. I'm not even going to say these are the characters. So our protagonist, by the way, is that kid. It's told from he comes into it, and it's kind of he's our journey through this little thing, and by the end you'll have some major feels, and it's really good. It shows the how normal people in war can be twisted and things by it, and how they just got to try and do things to. There's no good guy, there's no bad guy, and things end happening up. And I don't want to say anymore because it is so good.
I think the flip side of the same coin is the 8th MS team. Which is
yes, that was gonna be the next one for Drew. Yeah,
great.
Well, actually, I was waiting for one more shot.
I don't have anything else that I don't have anything to say about War in the Pocket because I haven't seen it.
I would say it's not for getting into, but once you're into the UC timeline, you understand things. It doesn't have anything with new types, but it's just like if you wanted to understand about like Gundam's message about pacifism, War in the Pocket. Just War in the Pocket, man. Right, and the futility of war. Can I just add that in at the end? And it's just sorry. Right now, 8th MS team. Drew, do you want to because I think this is another good point. This actually is. I
love this one. I cannot remember it though. It's so long since I watched this one.
I love it so much. So this was one of the first series that I was able to catch on TV. I actually didn't know about the last episode until I sat through to rewatch it.
Just don't watch it. Don't watch the last one.
Yeah, just don't watch the last episode. You'll be fine. But I think it's kind of the flip side of the same coin of what Loz was just talking about, where like the 8th MS team is about how like warriors are people too. It's about the fact that like sure, these people like in combat may be their main focus, but they are still people with their own emotional like goings on that are like separate from that can be separate from the combat that they're in. I also think it does a really great job of building the Universal Century world a little bit. And it really does a great job of kind of giving you a feeling for like, hey, this is wartime. Like, hey, this is, this is none of the, like, I always joke around that like the Gundams in this, in the 8th MS team are like always busted up. And that's because they're getting used.
There's more to it. So the key thing is like it's saying it's world building. This is from a normal point of normal grounded thing. These aren't the super elites. These are just troops on the ground. And the main Gundam was built, but there was a lot of spare parts for it. And they went, well, we need to win this war, and we need to produce Gundam suits as quick as possible. So they slapped together a load of the spare parts to make a team. I can't remember literally. Some people know all the numbers and everything of how many there were. I think it was about 8 or there's 16. No, it was 9 or 12 of these suits put together, additional suits. And they're like, okay, you're a team, you'll go. The thing is, though, seeing as their suits were already built from spare parts, you learn that in war, well, things get damaged, things get broken. They need to replace those parts. There was no more parts made for these Gundams. They're literally built off scraps and spares, so they have to manage with that, and it's so good.
And so I would say I don't know. Like,
oh, sorry. Can I just show the shot? Right. He would be dead there. That gun goes off next to him. He would explode. I know the shot misses him. His ear, that cannon would make his ears would explode. Sorry. Moving on. The concussive force would have killed. Sorry.
Yeah. No. This series is not the most
realistic.
Yeah.
And it also has practical elements. I need to make a quick hot springs. Let me turn my beam saber onto the lowest setting. Sorry. It's good though. I know we're joking about it, but it's so good. It's just like, it's just somewhat grounded.
Right. Should we bring this episode?
No, hang on.
No?
Was there one more? I think it was one more. Wasn't there one more I wanted to do? Oh, can you just flip on to the original Gundam then? Just so we can just to show on it. Just to show people what it looks like. I know we've got it.
So I'm trying.
We'll end where it began.
I might need to get Nasuth to do it. Which I think he is. It's that one.
Yeah. So let's end, just trying it up, not to talk much about it. As you can see, let's just, this is the late 70s, early 80s. This is where it all began. And I just want to say, like, should you watch this last Gundam show? It was good, and you have to remember that before this, God, we could do an entire show on just this, but like just before this came along, robots were giant robots that would fly through the sky. They would punch their fists off, and those would fly. There'd be no explanation of how. It basically magic. And they referred to as super robots. This was the first show where they were turned is now real robots. Robots where you have to worry about ammo and replacements of parts and how many enemies are there produced. What can the enemy field in forces? It's not just we're fighting monsters and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, I want to say that this show has a bit of that like the enemy forces almost instead of being monster of the week, it's what new mech of the week they've made, obviously to sell kits and toys and things. So it still has a few elements of it. It hasn't quite pulled itself apart. It's trying to, and I think it actually didn't do very well in its initial run. But then just the toy sales and the reruns just did so well. Obviously, everything spawned from this. But I just want to point out, so we get some images on there and show it on screen. It doesn't really hold up well today. Joey said you've watched the movies recently, haven't you?
I have watched the movies. Oh God, I had to work myself up to it, because I started watching the series initially when it aired on TV, in the States here on Toonami, and I hated it. I really tried. I really wanted to like it, but maybe it's like the whole judging a book by its cover thing. I don't know, but I am just really not into the style of animation. The soundtrack was kind of a turnoff for me. Like, and again, I'm not saying that those things are bad per se. I'm not saying that they don't. What I'm saying is that this series walked so that the rest of Gundam could run. And
that's brilliant. That's perfect.
I think it's important. If somebody's serious about like understanding Gundam and kind of deconstructing a series as they watch it and everything, I think this is something that should be on their list of things to watch. I would not recommend it for a beginner by any stretch of the imagination. But I think that's something that somebody can just jump into.
It looks more like a Transformer than a Gundam, really. Yeah, the art style.
It's so low detailed, so early. Yeah, and I love that thing, as you say, it walked so that the rest could. But it was setting up the premises that others would expand, and it was a dream that was trying to be realized in what they could at the time, and it just take out that goose leg, take it out. Anyway, so just to say, if you do want to watch this, if you're like, okay, I'm going to be an absolute purist, I'm going to start where the show started, please don't try and watch the show. It's even longer. It has been summarized into 3 movies, which is what Joe is referring to, but really start with the origin, and then maybe you could appreciate this more because you'd have some more grounding. You'd be like, oh yeah, look how basic it looks, doesn't it? Yeah. It just looks like
for reference, the series is what, 50 episodes, 52?
52. Most of them are 52. Yeah.
And the movies are, so I got through them in a night. It's like 7 hours of binge watching if you want to.
What 52 episodes at 20 minutes an episode? I mean, I don't know how many hours that is. It's just not no.
Yeah, the movies are so much more approachable. There is no dub, or rather, the dub was terrible? I've heard a lot of people saying that the dub. I've heard a lot of people saying that the dub is unwatchably bad. I wasn't able to find it anywhere. It was apparently only released on VHS forever ago. But anytime somebody says like the dub is just too bad, don't watch it, I'm always kind of critical.
Well, not only that, but I have no option to watch it. I can't find it.
Yeah.
Right, and then randomly, we didn't even get onto this character from some later shows. This is from Zeta and Double Zeta. One of the best antagonists. That's Haman Khan. But we'll move on.
No, another time.
Yeah. Yep. Goddamn good.
So when are we doing the
other
UC
shows.
episode?
Huh?
Yeah, just do UC. Going down.
When are we doing the UC episode?
Well, I thought we should do an episode on the production of the Zaku 2. I can go through everything about the Zaku 2. I can't do them all, but yeah, we could just the Zaku 2 line. But yeah. Anyway, let us move on. So that's it, Gundam. I hope everyone's helped this whistle-stop tour of as many Gundam as we could cram into this episode. Let us round this off, Drew, with the things
And
you
there's
have to
loads
do.
more.
Oh,
Cool, right.
There's always
Okay, so
more
moving
Gundam.
on.
I didn't even get to Build Fighters. Oh, we're gonna have to do an episode on Build Fighters later. I love Build Fighters. It's so good, Joey. You should watch Build Fighters and come back. Yeah, Joey, watch Build Fighters. Come back and we'll have an episode just on Build Fighters. It's so good. Right? Yeah. There we go. I'm done.
Okay.
Are you really?
For now. Right. So moving on to the supporter questions. Zrugel says, "Oh right, before we start the supporter questions, I'm going to ask everyone to hit that like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like the video and share it if you can. It really helps. Also, tell us, what your favorite Gundam series was, if you've watched the Gundam series, and out of all of the ones that we've spoken about, what appeals to you the most." So clearly it was double.
Somebody tell
Give me your
Xeno
best
why they like Seed.
recommendations.
Yeah, I want somebody to explain Xeno why you like Seed. Why Seed's the best.
I will say if there's anybody out there that's unfamiliar with Gundam, just in general, I would say that as a franchise, it's very broad and it has something for just about anybody. It's just a matter of finding out what matches your tastes, what matches your interests.
Right. Okay. So, Zrugel also says, question for Loz. Did you watch Zulu this year?
Did I watch Zulu this year?
Yeah.
No, sadly I couldn't. I think I'll have to do it. I'm going to at the end. It wasn't. I did look, and it wasn't. Normally, it's put on New Year's Day. Zulu, the film. If you've not seen Zulu, it's great. If you're British, you have to love Zulu. You have to. Okay. It's brilliant. There's also a really good film. It's the Rorke's Drift, Africans, the Zulu warriors surrounding Rorke's Drift and the British force there after a previous defeat of the British army. And I normally watch it every year with my dad. It's a really good film. It does not portray the Africans as just this horde of people. No, it does. Yeah, no, it does show they have tactics. They have, they're honourable, and it's a really good showing on both sides, and it's great. And it's just a good film. I normally do watch it with my dad every New Year, only because it's randomly on. We didn't plan to, so hopefully I might try and go home at the end of the month and do it. So thank you, Zurugel, for saying it. But I didn't manage to. They didn't put it on New Year's Day. They normally do. It's very sad. Very sad.
All right. Okay, moving on to the Prophet of Zephyr. The start of the winter season is here. Having looked through the starting lineup on a few different sites, I feel it's time to ask something that's been a long time coming. Do you feel that Netflix is doing enough live-action adaptations, or should they invest in more cash grab content to balance the relative quality they've managed to buy in with the success of shows like Comey and Arcane?
So watch Arcane.
Live action Gundam?
They're making one.
They are making
Oh
one.
god.
And one already exists. Though we're not talking about that.
How much worse do the Netflix live adaptations need to get before somebody says, no, enough is enough? Let's put a real budget into this.
No, it's not just a budget. Let's put people in charge who actually care about the source material. That's the bigger issue. You could do something great with a small budget, but just someone who cares. That's the problem.
That's fair, because Dark Crystal was great. I mean, it's not I wouldn't say it's a live action adaptation or anything, but it's. I mean, I think that's a solid example of what you could do with people that care about it running the show. But then again, yeah, that's true. Okay, all right.
I saw the other day that apparently there's another petition floating around for Netflix to do a season 2 of Cowboy Bebop.
No,
that has 100,000 people who have apparently signed.
Do they are these people that just want to watch the world burn? Is that what's going on here?
I don't know. I think maybe it's just potentially a few fans that have decided to make a few 100,000 accounts.
Bot accounts.
I think it's people that want to support the actors.
That I can appreciate. But I'd rather see them go do other roles than just, that mess. Right. So the next thing from the Prophet of Zephyr. Now that January is here, after the burnout of Crunchyroll by the notably more concerned with the internet's favorite safe for work values, media corporation of Funimation. Oh, I think this is the buyout. Because Crunchyroll got right. What is your prediction for the progress of the World's End harem, and how much censor bars have the editors had to draw for it?
None, because no sex is actually no lewdness is actually going to happen.
Have you seen? Sorry, do you know of World's End harem?
I don't know anything about it, but
you know the phrase "not if you're the last man on Earth." Well, apparently, the world's population of women couldn't hold back to the last man on Earth, and in fact, they all want the last man on Earth. And the world has fallen into complete disarray because apparently women can't be self-sufficient, and everything just falls to pieces.
No, I think that's not fair. It is a bit.
I know it's not fair.
Half the people in the world, all the men disappear rather rapidly because of a deadly virus. So it's a lot of expertise is lost right away. It doesn't matter that it's not saying all women can't run anything. I just want to point out it's not saying that. It's that if all of a sudden a load of experts who know how to run this, that, or the other disappear, because you're going to get that. There'll be some of them will be women, some of them will be men, but a lot of them will disappear from all over the world. So you're not going to have all the experts where you wanted because you had all these men that just disappeared. Yeah, but the thing is, it's a brilliant. I keep saying it. It's the best setup for a comedy, and they're playing it serious.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so basically, Crunchyroll kicked off because there was too much nudity.
Action, I would take a Netflix live action adaptation of that and Shimonetta.
Of what?
Shimonetta. You remember Shimonetta?
Oh yes, yeah. Right.
Maybe a live action version of Spy X Family.
But why would Crunchyroll? Wait, no, I mean, how do I put this? Why would Funimation kick that off of Crunchyroll's roster? If wasn't Crunchyroll the one that
No, because Funimation owns Crunchyroll.
I know, but didn't Crunchyroll fund that one anime series and get a whole bunch of negative feedback because it was
High Guardian Spice?
Yeah.
Right.
I haven't seen it, but
which wasn't even really anime, it was Western.
That's the bigger issue I think people had with it, is that they say all this thing about funding and supporting anime studios, and then they took a large sum of money and pumped it into a Western cartoon
They've done
show,
it a number of times now.
So again, I'm not really all that privy to it, but I've heard a lot of negative feedback, and none of it was about funding a Western studio.
I know there's a lot of feedback for the actual content of it, but the original thing was that it's this isn't anime. But that I didn't want to get into the potato because I've not seen it, to be honest, so I don't want to overly massively judge it. But I've heard, like you, I'm sure you've heard that it's not good what they've even made, let alone about the funding source and whatever.
Right. So yes.
No, go ahead.
Cool. So moving on to the community responses from last week's episode. So Zrugel, I wasn't a fan of Jobless Reincarnation because of the perviness, and I don't feel it always used to be this way. So this is just a highlight of what Zrugel's saying, and I thought, based off this comment, we would actually go away and come up with a topic for an episode, was anime the pervy nature of anime, right? The adult themes of anime. Was it always there? Was there any point when it got overly saturated? Stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, it's just not to go too deep in it now, but I think it's an interesting concept. But I think part of that will be, even in the past or whatever, because I think it always has been in Japan, it's the approach and the acceptance of what Japan sees as acceptable and what not acceptable is completely different from the Western side of things. Yes. And it's not this is smut now or something. It's just something that Japan would be like, oh, giggle, giggle, light-heart humor with a bit of nudity, and they'd be like, oh, that's nothing. It's just a funny joke. It's played tongue in cheek. Some people in the West would be like, this is porn, and so it's where you draw the dividing lines, and I think that's a cultural thing over time.
But there has been many instances where shows were sold on fan service alone. Look how much more fan service was shoved in things like Code Geass season 2.
But even Konosuba has it, and that's just entirely a comedy, and yet it's still got elements like, why is there a shot from that angle?
Why do they not have bras? Why?
But the thing is, I just want to point out, I don't want them removed, because that's the show of that culture. Just like you can't just be like, oh, we need to remove all these shows.
We'll talk. Yeah.
And also, no, last point. Sorry, for Jobless Reincarnation, I would say stick with it. I think going beyond where we are now, I know, but I think if you watch it, maybe don't not watch the show any further, because I think going further, it's going to explore that in. I think we're going to learn more. It's going to. I think the character will grow.
Joe?
I was just going to say that I think that it's anime is an art form to which culture lends a lot of context. I think that I guess kind of the more aware you of the culture surrounding anime, it's kind of surrounding. I mean, it's the whole idea of like, I mean, there are like a lot of like older fictions, I guess, that if you read them and then like. If you read them, that's one thing, you might take something away from it. But like once you're aware of what was going on culturally at that time, then you take away something else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think anime is very much like that. And I think nudity is a part of that cultural content, or at least I guess the kind of what Loz said, like the way that they approach sex culturally. I think that lends a lot of context to a lot of anime. So it's more than just fan service. But I mean, fan service is it's a thing. It happens.
Yep.
It's there.
Yep.
Anyway.
And then the last point from Zrugal was, wow, I'm surprised rattled off all those time zone conversions. Yeah, I have to deal with it all the time. It drives me insane. So, right. Okay, so now moving on to the memes.
Ah, yes.
Are you guys ready?
Let me make this big so everyone can see it.
Cool, I'm going to hit this button.
I'm going to hit this button. There we go.
There you go. So this is Nasuth's first.
Yes.
When you have to buy a book for class,
the stuff in here is biased. The professor who wrote it. It's the truth for me.
Nice.
Me waking up. My alarm clock. Good morning. Me realizing that I forgot to set the alarm. 8:45 a.m. It's 45 minutes past your usual wake up time. Good old Konosuba.
Okay.
Wi-Fi drops down by 1 bar. YouTube video quality.
Fuck is the thing on the right?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
I don't want to know.
Okay, so move on to my first one. Do you want to hit the button?
Sure.
Cool.
There we go.
There we go. Right. Guys, I can explain. You don't need to explain anything. I already got my season 4 announcement and already have a movie. What? I didn't even get a third season. Talking about third season while my second is still in production.
Yeah.
Poor Overlord. Poor Overlord.
What do you mean, poor Overlord? Poor, Okay, well, I'm going to move on.
What?
Fate anime be like, you will not survive my noble phantasm.
Whoa. It's Super Pope.
Oh my god.
Nasuth, have you ever seen a Fate series?
Nope.
Okay, well, we'll have to start you on that as well.
Oh my god.
Right. And then my third one. I'm the dumbest man alive. Could Naruto solo the JoJo universe? You're clearly dumb.
The answer is probably no.
Yep, probably no. Cool, right. Well, that is it for... Where's Loz gone?
I died.
You died? Okay.
Well, I should be back. Am I back?
Yeah.
T-pose.
Whoa.
He's a T-pose. Right, so that is it for the memes. And just as we round off the episode, next week we'll be covering the Kanpai Cast Awards for 2021, which anime we liked and which categories and so on and so forth. So that's it for this week's episode. Joey, thank you so much for coming on and nerding out with Loz about Gundam.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I loved it. I loved it. I'm Loz brought up some stuff that I can't wait to watch. I'm so
No,
excited.
you need to go away and watch Build Fighters right now. Seriously, if you liked that aspect, if that's what you took away from Build Divers. In fact, if anyone else wants to just enjoy a show that's just like kids build toys and then fight with them, because anyone can get into it. Okay, you're not going to expect the deep thing where this or that is from, but it's just fun. It's really well animated. Well, I think it is anyway. It's decently animated at the very least, and it's a fun little tournament arc, kids growing up and things, and it just has fun the whole time. Yeah. Build Fighters, Jerry, just go away and watch it now. You'll love it. Every episode, you'll freaking love it.
Fun for the whole family.
Actually, to be fair, after this episode comes out, that's well, Joey, what is it?
I couldn't say it's so dark. I couldn't see what was that.
Oh, it's my. Speaking of Toonami, it's my Toonami Tom painted Wing Gundam. It's Wing Gundam with
a magic invisible sword.
With a magic invisible sword, yes.
And just to highlight, this episode comes out. Joey will shortly be streaming your Friday Night Gunpla, won't you?
On Twitch and TikTok.
You're doing it on both there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not streamed on TikTok yet, but we just got.
You can stream on TikTok?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
For some reason. Right. Well, that's it for this week's episode. Thank you very much, Joe, for coming on. And we're going to do the sign off that we normally do, like we started the show. Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. Kanpai! There we go.